see when I'm running it is going to destroy my frames per second. We'll find out. I don't think it does. Oh, all right. Well, I guess I got to wait for people to trickle in since this is no delay and we're just sitting here. Please, people, show up. All right. Who's going to be first? Let me just make sure it's working. Pull my stream. Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we're good. All right. All right. Once one person types in the chat, then we'll know, and then I can start it.
We're live.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, this is gonna go straight to YouTube, so I might as well just fucking start talking. Well, for all you guys that tuned in right away, just haven't chatted. We got ourselves a fun little stream. I haven't done a coaching stream on stream in a very long time. I feel like it's been since like last Christmas when I reviewed a particular streamer's name. I'm not going to say. This is now a banned streamer. I'm not too big of a fan of him. I reviewed his like $3 MTT. That was a fun one. But yeah, it's been a while since we've done any sort of review content on stream. I've always wanted to. I've enjoyed it. We got ourselves Nathan Manuel. Is that the proper way to say your name?
Yeah, it is.
Manuel?
Yeah, it's like the like Spanish or Latin first name, Manuel.
Yeah. Manuel. It's fun to say it that way too. Yeah, I feel more sophisticated.
Yeah, I do too. I feel more sophisticated too.
So when did you commit to the Twitch name Jimmy's Boss? As we got Blacklist here saying first. Welcome back.
First.
Yeah. He always races for it. Yeah, but the Jimmy's Boss, like when did you end up deciding that was going to be it? Oh, shit.
So it's really interesting actually because I've actually been considering not using it because as I've won the Platinum Pass and had some opportunities to do some press and other things, what happens, right, is exactly what you see with he says change the title. No, this is the final table. We're gonna get so much hype if it says final table. Like don't change it.
Oh my god, I had the title changed. Oh my god. All right, one sec.
So the Jimmy's Boss name. So I was using it in the Run It Up IRC a long time ago. So I'd actually been using it for a while, and the reason that it's spelled the way that it is because in the IRC world, you can't have any kind of apostrophes or special symbols. And so I had been using that in IRC, and so that was even pre the first ever Run It Up Reno. And, we went to the World Series of Poker together. Jimmy and I, for you that don't know, is Untitled 2JC, went to the World Series of Poker in 2015. In the summer, and I ended up having like a 5th place for like 17K, and both of us were just like, holy shit, this is a thing, like we can make money playing tournament poker. And so then that led to us going to the first Run It Up Reno because we had been talking with some of the folks, Jimmy more than me, but daily we're in the IRC kind of like chatting with Jason and people in the Run It Up community. This was the chat method before Discord. I think that Jason's like an old school nerd, and so he had kind of grew up with these IRC chat rooms, and so that's what he created. So that's how I kind of like went with the name. And so at the time that we did this, right, I was joining a chat room in which Jimmy was already a pretty active member, and I was his actual boss in the moment. So it made a lot of sense for people in the chat room to know who I am to make my name Jimmy's Boss. And so it kind of stuck. And then, of course, what happened, right, was he ended up becoming extremely successful as a poker player and has made day 5 of the main event, I think, 3 times and like all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And is a far more successful poker player than I am, and clearly hasn't worked for me or with me for a really long time. So it's been an interesting change having him go off and be successful. And so to close out the Jimmy's Boss story, I would say the funniest thing is Jason Somerville has now hired Jimmy to do IT work for Run It Up, and so recently he sent me this message and just said, I want you to know I'm now changing my name to Jimmy's Boss, and you have to find a new screen name. And I was like, dang, it's so vicious. It's just like the most savage response. So yeah, that's the story, and that's kind of oddly stuck.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I kind of wish I could change my screen name. It's not. I mean, I think I am going to. I think I'm going to remove the IR part of it because it's just like the confusion and the explanation and the never. It's like 100% wrong ratio of this ever getting spelled correctly. Where if I just removed the IR part, I plan to eventually rebrand and get some new graphics and some new stuff going. But like this whole IrEgption, it's just I know.
Well, look, I don't know if you know, but I might know a guy that can help you with the branding because the company that I co-own, Duchess and the Queen, what we do is we help people with branding and graphics. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah, all right.
You know a guy if you ever need some help.
All right, I'll keep you in mind. Yeah, all right. I think irrigation rebrand, a good idea. What's up, Pocket Power? What's up, Frankie? Got some early people in the chat. Yeah, I think. We'll keep you in mind. I think I'm working with you know, the people that do Tonka stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's who I've been talking with lately. Mac and that whole crew. They're the ones that got me back doing the YouTube. They did my latest YouTube stuff.
Great.
So,
yeah, I mean the YouTube stuff is great. I mean, yeah, I saw that you created those 2 videos for the Deep Sunday Million run, so it makes a lot of sense.
They have blown up too. Like, oh, as we've got Frankie, tier 1 subscribing, my man. So, dude, thank you so much. Long time viewer.
I like to think that I brought forth the Frankie sub.
Yeah, I think this stream probably brought it out. You're not getting any royalties, but you can get appreciation. All right, you can get thanks. All right, guys. So with this tournament, this is the $86 Run It Up Reno Moneymaker Spectacular. It was a series. I mean, I don't know how many. Do you know how many they've done of this?
So yeah, you know, I probably should say, like, so I played in the first Moneymaker event at Stone's Gambling Hall in Sacramento, California. Mm-hmm. I played in the one at Foxwoods. I played in the one that was in New Jersey on PSNJ.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people probably have heard this story now, but I was basically like running around trying every way that I could to win a Platinum Pass. And so you know, I had done the Igor Kurganov and Liv Baree challenge. I had done the Blogger in Paradise, which is the Andrew Nemi and Jeff Gross challenge. I was a finalist in the My Ultimate Sweat challenge, which was Jamie Staples challenge, which was 3 months long, so a pretty serious investment, in which I studied Japanese, conversational Japanese, which is great because I wanted to learn conversational Japanese. We've actually, you and I have talked about Japan a little bit before. Yeah. You know, I think it's something that I really wanted to do anyways, and so having this, my honeymoon's going to be there in March, and so to have this thing like trigger the possibility to both win a Platinum Pass and do something that I wanted to do made it really big, like easy win for me. And so, you know, I had kind of gone through all these methods where I was like one after the other trying to do everything I could to win a Platinum Pass. Now, with that said, I've also been to every Run It Up Reno in the history of Run It Up. So pretty crazy that somehow the culmination of me bubbling the finalist of My Ultimate Sweat and then immediately going and banking off this $86 tournament for a Platinum Pass at Run It Up Reno, where I had, you know, become a pretty stable member of that community, was really crazy. Yeah. So definitely was strange and felt really surreal in the moment, and you know, really excited to now kind of like study and just get better at poker. And there's Jimmy immediately asking, "Where's the cowboy hat?"
Yeah. Oh, geez. Do you still have the cowboy hat?
Yeah, we still have the cowboy hat.
Do we? All right. We'll task Jimmy to finding a photo for us. Jimmy, if you could find a photo of the cowboy hat, can you be our guy to find a photo? We don't need it right now, but you know, if you can find one, that'd be good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfect. Of all the places you could have won it, I mean, obviously it would have been nice if you won the Jamie Staples one, but winning this one at Run It Up Reno, I think you had everyone there for you. as we can see, looking at the payouts here, I mean, first 30K, second, steep difference, 2K or 10K, and then it goes 5K, and then it just really flattens out 3K, 2K, like 3.5K, 2.4K, 1.7K. Basically, it's pretty top heavy. This is an interesting layout, and I've got it set up in HRC here. As you can see, we got the payouts prepared, ready to go. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. This is an $86 buy-in, so even cashing for like 2.4K is still always going to be impressive. But,
yeah, it's like so many buy-ins at that level.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, it's an atypical buy-in level too, in that it's actually so small that you know, having a 30K prize or a 10K prize for an $86 tournament is completely out of the realm of being a normal daily kind of tournament, turbo tournament. So
yeah, even like online, if you play an $80 or like $86, $88 tournament, $90 tournament, it's pretty hard to get anything that'll be like 30K. Like usually it'd be like, oh, 10K for first. Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So even getting like second.
Well, so Pat, do you want to kind of describe what we're going to do today, and let's kind of talk through that?
Get it going. Yeah, so we're going to be watching the replay live, or not live, the formerly live broadcast, the rebroadcast here of the $86. It was streamed on runitup.tv. So we're going to have cards up. We're going to be seeing all the cards. We're going to see all the action. And the plan is to go through all the spots whenever we find some interesting spots, whether we're going to try to focus on Nathan related earlier, but if we're flying through it, maybe we can, or if there's a pretty significant hand, we can talk about it a little bit further. If it doesn't involve Nathan, we're going to break down what could be done, what should be done, and if the hand is very important, we can break out the HRC, run some equity, see what ranges people should be opening, see what ranges people should be shoving, stuff like that. And yeah, I think I'm about ready to give it a go. I think we got it at 1.5x speed because it is a replay, so we can at least rewind it. All right, let's go. All right, quick answer, Frankie. If you guys are on a schedule, don't bother answering. But if you answer viewers' questions, here's the one main popping in my head. What stakes are you used to playing, Nathan? And does the win change anything in how you'll approach your poker moving forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy to answer that really quickly.
Yeah.
So my kind of average buy-in level is sub $1,000. I don't really play cash anymore. I basically only play live tournaments. Living in the U.S., I don't really have an opportunity to play a huge amount online. I do sometimes, and I'll be playing more online as I prepare for this 25K. 25K is probably 25 times a buy-in that I would actually buy in to play.
Yeah.
Does it change anything about how I'll approach poker moving forward? I don't think it's going to change too much. I think I am excited to kind of play with the best players in the world in this really unique environment, and I will do my best to kind of just have a good time and play well there. You know, I think what I could foresee changing my approach to poker moving forward more would be if suddenly I had a super deep run in this 25K, and suddenly, you know, I'm winning $1 million or something. That would be, you know, life-changing kind of cash for me. So that would lead to more of a change, I think, than winning this pass. Winning the pass is just a fun, amazing opportunity, and outside of that, you know, it's like this is just, you know, a great opportunity more than it is something that's actually life-changing at this point.
All right, let's kick things off here. I think we'll just mute the commentary. Not that I don't like listening to the guys; they did a good job, but we're kind of doing our own thing here. So let's. Looks like I did watch a bit of the beginning here. There was a bit of. Is this my big blind? This guy was struggling to put in his big blind. So I got the ante in there. As got some regulars here. We got Cha sitting to your left here.
Yep.
I like to call him a piece of shit. No.
Nice.
It's an ongoing joke from we played together in the Run It Up Reno main event last year, and we both ran deep, and like we were just bantering, and then the ongoing joke. Actually, we should look back at the chip stacks there for a
Yeah,
second.
I mean, this is a good thing to maybe grab here. It's just like chip counts, right? So we actually go into the final table as a chip lead. So interesting kind of situation.
Yeah, let's see.
Whoa.
Is it gonna pop back up?
And yeah, I think it's interesting too that up to the final table, I actually hadn't played with almost anybody at the final table all day long, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you think in a tournament, most of the time you're going to have a couple of people at your table that you are familiar with or you know what's going on. At this table, I had basically played with Marty earlier in the day, and I had been on this table with a couple of these guys for a few hands, but I actually hadn't played with very many of these people during the day throughout the tournament. So 825 entries to this tournament. Clearly, I think that's probably something like 500 uniques, maybe a little more. But yeah, so really kind of a strange dynamic that I hadn't played with a lot of people. Now, with that said, I obviously know Cha and have played with him some, and Hayden, who is in
seed 8 here. Yeah.
Yep. I know he's a very good player. However, I hadn't played with him much that day. And interestingly, as you'll see, the person I get heads up with, Marty is somebody who I've played with quite a lot. So I've played with Marty at previous PCAs, at Planet Hollywood in Vegas, at Rio in the World Series of Poker, and at every Run It Up Reno he's been at because he's a Reno local. So I've played with him a really large amount. So it's really interesting to, one, get into a position where I'm heads up with him, but also, you know, I just have a better understanding of, you know, how he plays because I've played with him so much. So interesting situation from a dynamics perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and managed to pause it this time around. I took a screenshot in case we end up looking at something a little bit further, but you know, you've got the pretty clear chip lead, and it's a little unfortunate that the second in chips is to your left. It's always usually better, you know, to have position on the chip, but at least you have a decent enough chip lead where like Cha's really not going to fuck around. He's got 40 bigs. It's not that crazy. There's not too much ability from like 3-bet fold. And looking, there's, you know, 4 people. Half the table is sub 20 bigs. This is a pretty quick structure in itself. I think the next blind level goes to 30k, 60k. So we're going to be seeing a lot of push folding at this point. A lot of active pushing. While you are chip leader, you'd have, you know, almost 60 bigs here. It says 59. It's you're going to be able to lean on people, but it's not going to be as good as if, like, you know, everyone was like 20 bigs and everyone's trying to ladder. And another thing that makes this interesting is this tournament is winner take all, so there's a lot less fear of, like, you know, Marty busting out in 8th as opposed to busting out in 5th. But
yeah, I've said verbally that I think that only second and first place have any real impact at this point. So
going hard.
Yeah, going hard.
Yeah, I think you, Cha, and Hayden are the ones I had the most experience with. Marty's definitely a regular that we see a lot in the Run It Up Renos, at least me personally, and you knew him quite a bit. I think Garrett apparently is Jimmy's student. That's what he was saying. As we have Hayden shoving here with the King Jack. I'm a big fan of this. Just gotta get it in here. Deuce is here. Ooh, you called. Yeah. Actually, I can show you this. We could just go over the spot right now.
Yeah. So, I have a lot of thoughts about. There's a lot of comments about this hand too that I've had back and forth with people.
Who is in the big blind? I think knowing who is where is going to be. So we know Hayden's under the gun, so he's going to be the last one. I don't think. Yeah. So this lineup isn't. Okay, so I'm gonna write. We should write this down because this is actually. I'm gonna go back here a second so we can see the. Yeah, I just want to be able to see the table. Okay, so seat 1, I'm not too sure, but we'll just be possible with seat 2, Nathan, 3, Cha, 4, Marty, 5, Garrett, seat 6, I don't remember. Okay, so seat 7 is...
His name is Jacob, I think, next to Garrett.
Yeah, no, I think this is Jacob because he's under the gun. Seat 8 is Hayden. So seat 1 is... Okay, so we have 2 options here. It could either be Tom Cook or Jim. I think Jim is...
What are the guys' names?
All right, so we have... It could either be Jim or Tom Cook.
Tom Cook is the guy in the 6th seat with the blue shirt on.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Tom and Jim. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure this was Jim. All right, so with that, wrong one. We can actually run the spot. Yeah, because I'm almost confident that 2s will be a fold here. So okay, we'll start with, so under the gun was Jacob. So Jacob had 780. And then Hayden had 24500. Which makes Jim. This will be easier once people get eliminated. So we had 1.2 million. And then you had 2.4 million. John had 1.6 million. John, Marty had 87500. Oh, wrong. One too many. Garrett had 59500, and then that leaves Tom with 50500. Perfect. All right. So, with the blind levels being 40,000, 20,000, and then we had a big blind ante, so it's 40K. All right. So, given these payouts, given these, given all this information, we're just gonna run a basic hand because I think. Oh wait, no, we need to. We need to run advanced because we need to allow calling. So the first action, all in. Just allow for. There. Under the gun folds. Hope he raises. Okay, so we'll give Hayden's range here. I mean, if he's going to shove, he's probably going to be shoving pretty wide here. I think with his stack, he should probably be shoving almost any pair here. We'll give him ace-9 off. Yeah, we'll say maybe he shoves this 50% of the time.
Yeah, I also tend to think that Hayden's going to be shoving relatively correctly too.
Yeah. I think almost every face card, any suited ace. We'll give him king-9 suited. We'll give him some of this too. All right, so this is probably what he's going to be shoving here, around 23%. And then fold, so fold, and then we'll allow a call.
It's interesting that we're commenting on this too, because we're gonna find ourselves in positions later where it's very clear to me that the person shoving, I don't believe, is going to be shoving correctly. Mm-hmm. And I think that their ranges are significantly tighter than the shoving range that Hayden has here.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean, Hayden's a little bit more competent of a player, so it's going to be easier to factor in. So with him shoving, your call. Oh wow, looks like 2s is actually. I mean, I think this is for calling. This isn't actually that bad of a. Oh wow, we learned something. Deuces calling the 6 big blind shove is not the worst. It looks like you can't make too many mistakes. I guess because when you call, no one's gonna reshove. No one's gonna shove pretty wide here.
So that's funny that you say that, because that's what's gonna happen. So look forward to seeing the rest of the hand, because I find myself in a really interesting position here. Pretty quickly.
Someone made a very good point. We need to change the ante. So it's 5,000, right? Yeah. So we got to change the ante, because if we put 40K, that means everyone put 40K in the middle. It doesn't factor in big blind ante. Okay. So that I don't think it folds.
There we go. That should fix it. That should fix that. So that those two should become a fold.
That makes so much. Yeah, that that changes everything. Thank you. Who brought that up? Who brought that up? Was that Pocket Pair and IGT? Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's give him 100% of that. Let's give him all this. Give him all of this. Give him some of this. You know, I mean, we'll just give him these. He's probably not going to shove Queen 8 suited, but alright, we'll give him a little bit wider now. MP folds, finish. Alright, that actually changes so much.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a huge mistake.
Your chips in play there.
Alright, so you raise, and then MP3. Yeah, so deuces is slightly losing. You're losing about 0.21 bigs. It's, yeah, so you're definitely going to be losing a decent amount. But it's just like spots like this, you definitely want to be calling a lot tighter. Facing a shove, if you were like maybe, let's say like you're in middle position, if you were maybe like button or small blind, I think it'd be a bit better. But I think with these two stacks that, you know, when they reshove, you're almost never going to find calls. When these two shove, you're probably going to have to side call. But yeah, with these two behind, I don't think in general this will ever be a call. I think you need to be later position for this to end up ever being a call. Yeah, so like deuces. I
think in general, I in hindsight, right, I think it's a pretty clear fold. I think exploitatively, I agree with you completely. I think no one is messing around here, and so if we continue to watch, I think we can see the next part of the hand. We'll be able to discuss the next decision, which is pretty quick here. So Hayden makes the shove, and
you can get a fold here.
Yep.
And then hum and ha. This is 1.5x speed, so this isn't necessarily too quick of a call. Yeah, but I think spots like this, even though it's like a 6 big blind shove, I mean, usually at best we're flipping, and we're giving them a pretty fair, but it is a relatively tighter range. It's not like, let's say, blind versus blind. And then Garrett reshoves. Yeah. Right. So that ends up becoming a problem too, is like he's not gonna be getting on a line, but like you've kind of already put a lot of chips in the middle. Frankie, gifting the sub.
Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly right, right? So now I'm in a position where I have to know kind of like what Garrett's reshoving range is, so that I can make a good decision about if I'm supposed to call here or not. And it's interesting because, as I kind of mentioned, I've started to do a little bit of homework here, and it looks like even if I know he has aces, I'm supposed to call based on the math that I've been looking at. And so it's pretty shitty situation I've gotten myself into by making this bad call. Interestingly, though, you know, I very specifically think that in this hand, Garrett has a much tighter range than other people at this table, because I think there are a lot of people, when I flat there, they may reshove to isolate against the all-in player, and I don't think Garrett is one of those players. I think that this is a situation where Garrett just always has a really good hand. So I end up finding the fold here when just because I think that his range is so tight. And so the problem, though, is that after doing some more homework and looking at the math, it doesn't even matter if his range is ultra tight. I should be making the call.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna run. Yeah, we can run the ranges itself as we give it. It's taking a little while because it is multi-way.
Yeah, no problem. So I mean, but if you might as well actually show the rest of the hand, right? Because then we can see here.
Yeah, they can see he ends up having.
Go through this process, right? So then he reshoves for 595.
595. And you've already put in like half a stack. So yeah, even with Hayden's money in the middle.
Money in the middle. It becomes a call, even though I basically made a mistake. At the time, I felt like I didn't want to compound the error because I knew that Garrett wasn't messing around. So I didn't want to compound the error, so I ended up finding a finding a fold where clearly it should have just been a call.
Yeah, I think so. It's probably about like 1.2 in the middle, and then divided by the. I think you got to call like 350 more.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's the wrong way. 350. I'm a professional. Yeah, so you need about like 29% equity, and you're getting about you're getting about 29%, and you need about 22, 23. So like I guess it is actually probably fine to fold, giving him like this. This is giving him this tight range right here, and giving Hayden his exact his shoving range initially as well. This ends up making it. I guess if you call, this actually probably is better just to fold, given how tight Garrett's range is. But even then, if you like side call, it's really you're losing, but it's not as bad anymore. But yeah, I agree. Compounding mistakes usually becomes a problem, and it's something that, you know, it's like a sunk cost fallacy. Like, I've already put in like 250K, I might as well put in the rest. I think Aaron on the side of caution with just like, I mean, after you already called and you just know he's only got netted hands, I think it's fine instinctively just to find the fold here. But yeah, I think the crux of the problem is the deuces call pre-flop. But we've talked about it now, so this is good. As we see Hayden, we did get a meal with Hayden, so we did chat a little bit. Hopefully he wins this. Let's go, Hayden. Actually,
somehow, magically, I know the outcome.
It's a sweaty one. I mean, he picked up some extra outs. He's got a faded king or a jack right now.
Sure. I think Hayden had a really good week, so it's not. You don't have to feel too bad about him. Final tabling an $86 tournament.
All right. Well, right out the gate, we lose our first player. So now all the players. Let me pull up the page ups. All the players are now guaranteed it's like $150 page.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, it's like it's like the worst for getting 8th in the spot. I mean, that's kind of the crux of the problem when you have to make second be like 10K, is you're just murdering the rest of the payouts.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting in that when I'm thinking more about the 25K, the PokerStars Players Championship event, a lot of the conversation and a lot of the talk in the Platinum Pass group chat and Facebook group is about basically min cashing and how to protect themselves against, playing too much to just get the min cash. Because if you have a free roll and the min cash is going to be, I think they're saying the min cash is likely to be somewhere between $37,000 and $40,000. The min cash is huge, and so it creates a dynamic where the bubble and the PSPC is likely to be just an absolutely vicious one. And so the swing there is so significant for most people that we could find people literally just allowing themselves to blind out completely, almost like you would see in a satellite, due to the huge swing for min cashing. So it's a really interesting dynamic and a unique situation that we're going to get to think about as I start to study and think more deeply about this 25K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I instinctively would want to, try to play for the win and not, try to. I mean, I feel like I'm in a little bit of a different financial point of view, and I don't know. I feel like since I am a professional, like wanting to win is always going to be a prevalent thing. But like, this is like 25K buy-in is a fucking stupid large buy-in, and if the min cash changes so significantly, I mean, who gives a fuck? Just it may not be the coolest thing to do, but you know what else is cool? Having $40,000 in your pocket.
Right. Because think about this: if you or I had a $40,000 score, basically by winning another tournament, it would be a massive, huge swing for us. So it's like, well, why don't we treat the min cash in that the same way? And there's something, you know, in, I think, people who are competitive and who play seriously, where there's a utility question that leaves your mind a little bit when you're being competitive, just simply because you want to win. And so it's really funny, because when I think about this too, I know that the min cash is meaningful to me, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I just want to, like, I want a final table so bad that I'm like, let's just go for it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I imagine, you know, if I do find my way into it, whether I direct buy or perhaps win a Platinum Pass, I imagine I'll probably be nittier than normal near the bubble if I'm a middling stack or something like that. But I think there's going to be a couple points where, like, if it's like gut check time, I'm probably, I mean, probably gonna be I might throw caution to the wind. I don't know. I'm not gonna be triple barrel bluffing on the bubble. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll be up front with that. We're not gonna dick sling around there. But you know, if we get dealt kings, you know, I got a 4-bet shove. Shit, all right. You know, I probably won't pass on that.
Exactly, and I wouldn't either. Even though the swings are real. So, Pocket Pair Poker is asking how many people are getting these passes. There's been quite a few. So there are 305 passes that are being distributed by PokerStars through you know, a variety of ways, as you probably have heard. And so you know, that's an interesting dynamic. And there's been $1 million added to the prize pool, and it's rake free. So that's the dynamics of the tournament.
And then I think, yeah, Frankie made a comment about free rolling into 25K. Yeah, it's just this tournament itself, like, I feel like I've sort of become desensitized and not really remembered how significant a 25K buy-in is. It's just such a stupid big buy-in, and like, it's something that I realized, like, when I was talking about like direct buying into it, I'm like, the fuck, it's a $25,000 buy-in. Like, this is a huge chunk of my life to just throw into a tournament. It's
time to sell some action online, my friend.
Yeah, that's probably what's gonna end up happening. Right.
Okay, so what happened?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so you, so Garrett opened the hijack. You defended the big one with the king queen. Seems standard. Flopping, coming Jack 10-7, 2 spades. Garrett even has a Jack of spades. Pretty good flop for him. It's a good flop for you too, I think. Oh, and he just rips it?
He open rips it, yeah.
Okay, well that's, I mean, he opened it for like one. Okay, well that's just straight awful. I mean, he could have there's just no way to 5x. There's no way to justify 5x potting it here. I mean,
yeah, I think I like any option that he could have had outside of this.
Yeah.
So I think I would have preferred a check to this. I think I would have preferred a very small bet to this. I think I would have preferred a hefty size bet to this.
I
think I like every option outside.
Yeah.
Of this.
I think in general, I think this is a board where dynamics wise you're going to be doing a lot better. You're going to have a lot more straight combos. You're going to have a lot more 2 pairs. You're going to have the sets. Well, he's gonna have the set. You're gonna have the same amount of sets, but you're both gonna have a lot of hands. You're gonna have more though. You're gonna have more straights. You're gonna have more 2 pairs. So in general, going larger on this type of board versus the big blind is a little better. Going like 2/3, maybe a little bit larger. But like you can like. Yeah, like you said, like even going like over pot, sure, so that you can shove turn. All right, that's cool. But I think...
So, again, you know, I kind of mentioned before that I think that Garrett has a little bit of a tighter range. And, you know, as being said in chat here, Garrett is very new to the game, and you had mentioned that he's getting some coaching from Jimmy. Yeah, he's very new to the game. I feel like he probably is not extremely comfortable in the dynamics here. I suspect he knows who I am in this dynamic also.
Yeah.
And knows that there are going to be chances for me to maybe outplay him if we play multiple streets. I think that he's doing this to protect his hand, but his hand is just so strong that if I'm ever calling him here, I actually am ahead of him.
Yeah, like Garrett's, like if you snap, like I feel like for you, even having like 10-7 here is like gut check. You're like, you got to be shitting me. Like,
Yeah.
if I had 10-7 there and I'm facing a 5x overpot shove, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. I think if I have like Jack 7, I probably side in. I think Jack 7, 10-7, I don't think I'll end up folding. But like when you have like 8-9 here, or if you just have like Queen 9 of spades, I think I'd be like, okay, well, if you're shoving, I definitely have equity, because like I doubt Garrett's ever going to be showing up here with like Ace Queen of spades, right? Or like Ace King of spades. So whatever you have is going to be. Even then, you probably I mean, he gets you to it. Yeah, he just gets to get you to fold. And I think if you're ever in a spot where you don't really want to play post flop with people, you can opt to take larger sizings, because when you do when you use larger sizings, you sort of make the other player unable to do as many tricky things, because the stacked up gets shallower. They're not able to get as creative.
Yeah, I agreed with all of that, and I think that relevant to my study, I'm thinking a lot about the 20 to coming with kind of 20 to 18 to 22 big blind shoving ranges for the 25K, because I know that I can put myself into positions where I'm forcing players who are really good to call off 20 big blinds or whatever, if I really understand those ranges really well. So lots of snap shove study for me in regards to those larger shoves, because I know against the best players in the world, it's going to be really important for me to understand that kind of like area of my game. And it's a place, because I'm a live player, that I have not done as much work and don't have as many opportunities to implement in online as people who play online. So
I think Vader Nader in the chat made a point. Open mucking Jack 10 is the only worst option on the flop. All right. I mean, I guess I wasn't too familiar with Garrett's game, so it is nice to know that getting a better idea. He is a little bit more inexperienced. I thought when touting, oh, he's Jimmy's student, I felt like that was maybe like a sign that he was a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's extremely new to the game, so
yeah. Okay, I'll be less mean about it then.
What's up, Vader Nader, and hey, Aaliyah, what's up, girl?
What's up, Aaliyah? Hey, girl. Welcome to our little study session here. Oh, let me just flash this Razor Edge hoodie. You can stretch. You can get the Razor Edge T-shirt in there. Oh.
Yeah, I just got my gear, so I have my shirt on too.
I actually like, it's a shame that this is a poker hoodie, because I really like this hoodie. Because like I want to wear this out more, but it's just like I can't be wearing a Razor Edge hoodie. Like I can, and it's cool, but like I get made fun of still.
As a pro, I mean, I see what pros walk around wearing at tournaments. I'm always like, dude, you're wearing some sweats and some slips and a hoodie. It's not a rough life you guys got there.
Yeah. Let's see, Jacob here shoving the King Jack for 17 bigs. I feel like, given how top heavy this is, just taking the plus chip EV spot here is going to be fine. I don't think there's too much to worry about in terms of ICM. And Shaw does make the call. He's got the King and the Queen. I don't think that's a call. I think for 16 bigs, that's King Queen off. That's definitely a fold. I don't know. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's not run it since we're not involved. But I would say that I think that in this spot, Jacob, this is the bottom of Jacob's range, I suspect. For instance, I don't think he's shoving the King 9 suited in this spot.
Definitely not. No.
And so I say that to say, because later I'm going to make a big fold, and part of that is due to my understanding of where Jacob's ranges are kind of showing up. And so, I feel like I have information, and I kind of attempt to use that information and maybe make the wrong decision. But at the same time, I feel like...
Oh, there's me. Oh, who's that guy? Sorry.
Some stranger. Aaliyah may have been in that video there, too.
What's up with the Kevin Martin shirt, Nathan?
Kevin's a good guy. He was so pumped for me when I won the Platinum Pass that he came down from his hotel room or something and ran up behind me and like picked me up. And I was like, holy shit, what is going on? And yeah, so I was really excited to rep his shirt for this win. Man, now I feel like it's a lucky shirt, and I should just wear it during big tournaments.
I mean, if you're playing live poker, I think any opportunity to wear anything Kevin Martin related, just absorbing any sort of Kevin Martin essence is important in any live poker realm.
Yeah, Jason Somerville actually said, the important part of the meta for wearing the Kevin Somerville shirt is that it just helps you run better because he just runs so damn good. And I was like, exactly, right. I did. Yeah. I had been studying that part of my game, wearing the Kevin Martin shirt part of my game.
So we've got Garrett opening up the ace-king. Somebody folded queen-jack suited. Oh, I think the graphics are...
Super curious. So he has, I think he has, how many big blinds does he have here? He has like...
Yeah, so he's shoving, so he just, this is what it is. Yeah, he did just shove. So he just shoved for 22 big blinds. I think if, I mean, I don't know if he knows if Garrett's a tighter player or not, but if you're shoving into an under the gun open, I mean, queen jack suited for 21 bigs, I think it's too many bigs. I think when you're in the cutoff, you could definitely just be peeling this. I think this plays way better as a peel. I don't think we need to be 3-bet bluff shoving hands like queen jack suited. It does perform okay because you are blocking like queens and jacks, but like we don't have to worry about Garrett calling off here with like ace queen or ace jack. Like I just don't think we can ever expect them. So I don't think these are going to end up being too relevant of a blocker. It's probably better to be shoving things like ace jack, but it's I think this is too wide. I think if you have you need to have a read that like the early position opener is going to be very wide for you to ever think about doing stuff like this. But even then, this I still would never advocate this. I think this is just always going to play better as a flat, especially when you're in the cutoff. I mean, sure, you have the chip leader to your left, but I doubt you're going to be getting out of line in this sort of scenario. So I think this might be this is a bit of a misstep here at a gym. I think this will, as Garrett does make the call. I mean, when Jim gets called here, I mean, you either want to see ace king, so you have 2 live cards, or you see tens.
Yeah.
All right. No, not the best fob. Let Nathan talk. You know what, Irish? You're banned. You're not allowed to study. There's a see GG to Jim in 7th place. How much did he cash for?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, though. I think that the queen jack suited, I'm not totally sure why he decides that's the spot to rejam. I think, again, Garrett has a tighter range, not only because he's under the gun, but just he's been a tighter player. So, you know, I wouldn't think that this would be the spot where I would find to rejam the queen jack suited. A pill would be fine, and I have to tell you, and maybe this just makes me a nit, but I wouldn't have just hated if he just folded.
I'd hate it. I think queen jack suited is so fucking pretty. You can make straights, you can make flushes. You have two quad draws, 2 trip draws. I think
both cards are blue. I got
both cards are blue. Blue might be the luckiest color. Blue is on the Kevin Martin T-shirt. Yeah, I think it of the options, I think folding would probably end up being better than. Looks like Bob's given some chatter here at the table.
Yeah, so what's happening here is that the level's going up, but instead of the level going up to the correct level, what had been pre-programmed into the Bravo system was a doubling of the blinds. And so we immediately recognized that it was a mistake, and Bob was just saying, hey, I understand that this is a mistake. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go change the Bravo system so that it's correct. So, you know, Bob handled the situation perfectly and quickly, and yeah, all was good. On
an aside, Bob, probably one of my favorite tournament directors, probably one of the best tournament directors out there.
Yeah. And so for anybody who doesn't know what he is, if you've ever watched any of the World Series of Poker streams, he's the guy that is tall, guy with the bald head that is often doing the commentary or the kind of like on stage announcement of what the cards are in the Thunderdome. So, and then he also is the guy, the floor guy who starts all of the day 2. So anybody that has ever made a day 2 Bob starts up the day twos for at the World Series of Poker. So yeah, the fact that they get him for running up Reno every time is really impressive to me.
Yeah, he's a slick pickup, as we saw that you just raised and taken there with the King 8 suited from the cutoff. I enjoyed that. That was good. Looking at, I can actually go back here for a second. Let me just get a picture. Let's get an updated picture of that. We might need that, as we're down to 6 here, and then with that recent elimination, everyone at this tournament was now guaranteed $1,700. Prize jumps get a little bit cooler. As we see, 3 people under 15 bigs. Oh my God, Nathan, let Pat talk.
Now I stood back with that. Oh my God, Nathan, please let Pat talk. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think did he just fold the... Yeah, he folded. I think Ace 8, yeah, probably a fold. I think with you in position, yeah, the two of the bigger stacks behind.
So this is Marty from the button with Ace Deuce. There's no way he's not just opening here for sure.
Yeah, this is. I think this is. Yeah, for 15 bigs, this is just way better as a shove. I mean, I guess he wizardry's out of this one, but I think you should just be shoving here. This is pretty close to winner take all. Big blind's pretty short. And once you shove from the small blind, as we see, I mean, once you shove, like even though Garrett has a lot of chips in the small blind, with the player left behind, he's going to be still folding relatively tight. He's not going to get out of line too often here. I'll answer that in a moment, Baxter. As we see here, Garrett ends up flatting, and Tom squeeze shoves here with the 9 bigs and the 10 king suited. I think Garrett gets put in the tank here. Marty correctly gets out of the way, recognizes he's not doing too well. Ace deuce off versus a shove is just never going to be. I mean, it's usually flipping, but I think versus Tom here, who's typically older gentlemen don't 3-bet. They're not Jacob, so older gentlemen aren't bluffing.
Yeah, so it's interesting here though that Garrett doesn't totally yet understand the dynamics of what opening ranges are for a button and what the dynamic is there. Because for instance, if I ever have 10s there and Marty is opening up from the button, I'm 3-betting a lot.
Yeah.
I'm 3-betting a lot. A huge part of my response to Marty opening a button when I have 10s is to 3-bet him.
Yeah.
And so I think if Garrett had 3-bet here, we would have seen Tom fold with the king 10, and he would have won this pot. So
yeah, I think flatting 10s in general. I mean, with the players being as short as what you are, you're kind of just letting them realize their equity, and you're playing out of position. It's going to be hard for you to extract value when you have it when they're in position. I think for Garrett there.
The only exception I would say to that is if the person in the big blind is going to shove a whole lot and you're basically trapping them, there might be a scenario where the call is really good. But when we see Garrett tank there before he calls, we know that he wasn't setting the trap right. He was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that wasn't his mindset, and he didn't snap call. So I mean, usually when people trap, they have it set in their head, they get ready to go. As we open up the 3s here, I like this. You're the chip leader, get to put some pressure on. And you just take it down. Yeah, when we're chip leading in this, we only have slightly over 30 bigs, but there's still a lot left to be played for. So you are able to just sort of lean on these guys. They're not, and especially when they're going to be playing relatively face up, it keeps it simple to you. If you're not going to see, I think maybe Cha might be the only one that's probably going to be 3-bet bluff shoving occasionally.
And I don't think he's going to do that under the gun +1 very much.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think you have a lot of ability in this scenario to just sort of run over, go young wizard on it, open some speculative hands.
Thanks to Pocket Pair Poker, thanks for the sub, and thanks for the well wishes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Baxter. So how do we know each other? We initially met at Run It Up Reno around this time last year.
Yeah, that's
about
correct.
3 arenas ago. We played together in the main event. That was the first time I think we really got to chatting, and I played a couple pots with you, and I think I made a couple folds, and then I realized that Yeah, I asked Jimmy, he's like, did I make a good fold? And he's like, yeah, you probably did. Nathan shoved the river. You're probably good. I believe his quote.
Yeah, I very specifically remember a hand.
Yeah,
let's look at this real quickly.
Right.
So, you know, Ace Jack versus Queen Queen.
Yeah, Garrett opened.
And Tom 3-bet, and then Garrett folded.
Yeah, I think pretty close to standard. I think 20 bigs. I think maybe you can talk yourself into folding if you think Tom is not shoving super wide. But if you think Tom's going to be shoving with things like Ace 10 or like who's that guy? Who thinks he's going to shove like Ace 10 or King Queen? I think you should be calling. But if you think his range is only going to be like 10s plus, Ace Queen plus, and not even Ace Jack, I think Ace Jack suited probably will be a fold. Versus typical opponents, they're going to be a little bit more active, a little bit more aggressive. You can talk yourself into calling, but I think Ace Jack suited, as awful as it sounds, for a little over 20 bigs, can be a fold versus a very, very tight opponent. When you factor in ICM, when you factor in ranges, you can see a huge chunk.
We end up seeing Tom in this VOD make some really some shoves that are a little bit wider than maybe anticipated. He also is making some bet sizing, some opens, and some other sizing that are very atypical. And so it's hard to know sometimes when people are making really atypical plays if they're doing so with a certain strategy in mind, or if they're just kind of clicking buttons. And so, you know, it's an interesting dynamic if you're going to call off with Ace Jack there, because you may not know what he's doing otherwise. So, yeah, really super specific kind of spot if you're going to fold the Ace Jack there from from the cutoff to, was it cutoff to
cutoff first button.
Yeah. So yeah, they're next to each other. So yeah, it would be surprising, I think, but at the same time, not always clear what's happening in the dynamics in a hand with somebody, especially somebody like Tom, who is very clearly like a live player and has kind of live player habits.
I think I feel like he opened to more than.
So he's opening over 3x, right?
Yeah, I think he made it like 225k at 60k big blind. Yeah. Yeah, whenever I see things like that, I tend to assume that they're going to be a little bit more inexperienced. Pre-flop sizings is usually the first big tell. You can find out if someone's inexperienced or someone isn't too hasn't put in too much time into their game. Because if they're ever deviating frequently and to way too large sizings, and it just doesn't make sense, usually it ends up being like, there's some blind versus blind spots perhaps where you can go larger and stuff like that, but typically earlier position, smaller is better. As we see, he just keeps knocking his chips over too. I think Garrett needs to move these chips over, give him some room. So we got Tom getting frisky. He's got a lot of chips now. Opening up the Queen 10. I like this. He's the new chip leader. He's able to do these sorts of things. It would be better if he did a smaller sizing.
It always looks super strong too when somebody's opening and they still haven't stacked up their chips from the last hand.
Yeah, no.
So when he's doing this, he's like, he has chips he's stacking up. He's doing it from early position. Like, it looks so strong. The fact that he's doing it with kind of a middling hand is actually really surprising.
Let's see here. Get some folds here. Cha, probably just gonna see a all in. There it is.
Yes, what is this? He has 14 big blinds or so?
Not even. He has just under 12 because we're at 60k big blind.
Oh, okay.
And he gets it through. Yeah. Pretty simple raise and take it there for Cha. He did complain about just running like ass in terms of card distribution and what cards he got on this final table, so we'll see what other opportunities he's got there.
Well, as we saw with the first hand where he got it all in, he got it in as a dominating hand, and he loses.
Yeah,
so
it was unfortunate.
Have to run well in all of the spots to win tournaments, right? So.
Yeah. Is that that's an open? Okay, no one's all right. I don't mind the open. That's 2.3. That's.
So yeah, so it's 60k big blind right now. So I'm opening to 135.
Yeah, it's like 2.26 or something like that. I mean, I think anywhere 2.3 and under is always is going to be a fine gauge. If someone's going to be defending a lot more, yeah, you can go bigger. But if you think they're just going to be playing super face up, you can just make it a little over, like 2.1, and it does the same effective thing.
Yeah, so we're actually going to see me make an opening mistake in this tournament as well. There's a time where I either live misclick or I don't understand what the blinds are or something, so I end up opening in a spot to like 3.1 or 3.2 or something where I make a really strange open. So yeah. We'll get there, but happens to all of us, no matter how much we've played in our life. I've been playing poker for a really long time, so funny to come back and watch these hand histories, and there are still like relatively common mistakes being made.
Interesting shove here from the cutoff. The 10-9 offsuit. It's not. I'm willing to wager it's probably not losing that much. I think it's going to be slightly losing now that pay jumps are starting to become a bit of a factor. It is almost winner take all, but pay jumps are still a thing. It's not. We're not playing purely for chips at this point. I think. Yeah, I think 10-9 for like on the cutoff. It's probably going to be, if it's okay, it's going to be a little break even.
Yeah.
Yo, Pat, did you ship the FT? No, unfortunately, we got 7th yesterday for about 2.2K. As we see, Cha all in. We don't know what he has yet. Oh, now we do 6s. I love the quick explanation. The 1.5x speed, making it simple. Marty doing a little Hollywood with the King 8. Maybe not. Ace 10 suited here for Garrett, and he does make the call. I actually kind of want to run the spot. I think this is an interesting one.
So he's all in for less, yeah. So he's all in for 5-10.
I think this is an interesting one. This would be an easy one to run. So we got Cha under the gun with 865-000. Marty had about like 1 million, I think. Let's give him 1 million. No, he had about like 800K. 800K. Then we had Garrett, who has 510. And then Jacob had 1 million. And that leaves you.
Well, we have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, we need to get Tom. Tom had like 2.7 million.
Yeah, and I have 2.
Yeah, so the 1 million, and then you had. I think it'll pop up here in a second.
Yeah, I have 2. It says there.
Yeah, 2. Okay. 2.2. Yeah, so this one will be an easier one to run. And we'll click finish. Oh shoot, we gotta change blind levels. Lol. So 60,000, 30,000.
30.
We're still at a big blind ante of 60, so yeah, so it'd just be 10,000 ante. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
Boom. All right, so Cha, slam dunk shove, as we can see here. 6s. Oh, 6 is actually pretty close. It's not.
It's closer than you would think, right?
Yeah, I think. On a table where you feel like you would have a bigger edge, you could actually probably fold 6s here and try to find better spots. But if it's like a table full of regs and everyone's really good, these sorts of like middling spots where it's like break even tend to be the things you want to push. And then Garrett had this stack. Yeah, so ace 10 suited. That is what I expected. Is going to be slightly losing here. I mean, we can maybe edit Cha. No, maybe not Cha's range. Yeah, so as we can see, yeah, ace 10 suited, slightly losing, as I expected. I just wanted to double check here. So Garrett, despite being shorter than the initial shove, I mean, 8s is sort of break even. 7s is losing in the spot. I don't know if you could see yourself, Nathan, folding 7s in this spot.
Folding 7s, maybe 7s is a question mark, but ace 10 suited, I could see myself folding. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting that they're very, very similar. 7s and ace 10 suited, because I would probably more easily fold the ace 10 suited than I would the 7s, because I suspect that they have all of the aces that are bigger than mine all the time. Yeah, it's a pretty common hand. So yeah, I probably would find myself making the ace-10 fold. Sevens, not so sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like that would be a nice little hand around as we have got a flip here. Cha and Garrett, and it's a pretty good flop for Garrett. Top two,
pretty good.
Yeah, and no help for Cha. Garrett finds it. Garrett's battled this. I think he's been all in, and just battling this entire FT. He's definitely had the most all in so far on this table. Cha getting crippled here. Let's see if we can actually. Not that we don't care about Cha as we zoom into him, but we can fast forward this a bit. There we go. We have the technology. Poker is done. I don't know what that means. This is pre-recorded, if that's what you're asking. Jesus.
I thought he meant like more theoretically, like poker is dead, but.
Marty definitely open for. That's got to be more than 150K.
Poker is alive and well, and this poker that we're watching is pre-recorded from what, about a month ago?
Not even. It's been like, oh god, it's actually getting close to a month. Yeah, geez, time flies.
Yeah, it'll be shocking that you hear like, oh shit, yeah.
As you see, Marty opening up the. Oh shit. Oh, you almost saved him. You're embarrassed for him.
I felt so bad for him in this spot. I wanted so badly for him to.
Yeah, so Marty opens up the 9/8 suited. I mean, raise folding off the stack is pretty marginal, especially with Cha being short. It's like, do you really want to? Oh my god, I've changed the title. Oh, the title's there. I think the ace queen reshove and the jacks get in, both pretty fine. Yeah, you guys are complaining about the title. You got PTSD. And Cha gets the bad news on the flop. And rip. GG for Cha. Losing Cha here in 6th place. A little bit of a blunder there. Unfortunately, doesn't get to.
Yeah, he just didn't realize that Marty had that open there. Yeah, I think the 9/8 suited open. Under the gun with this stack depth is not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just you really shouldn't have too many raise folds with big blind being at 4 bigs. If I were on this final table and I saw Marty opening off 12 bigs with a 4 big blind stack, and I knew he was going to be raise folding a bunch, I'm 3-betting him like almost with anything. Just as like a punishment, like, all right, you just lost yourself 2 bigs. Now you have even less fold equity when you shove.
Yeah.
So we've got Tom here making it 200K at the 6. Yeah, so a little over 3x. Yeah, Tom.
The sizing things with him is really interesting. He really does kind of open. He opens at sporadic sizes. He opened really large. At the time, I actually had made the assumption that he was opening using a sizing based on hand strength.
Mm-hmm.
So the stronger his hands were, the larger his opening sizes were.
I think just he's open at large sizing enough. I think this is an important topic because this is something that everyone is going to run into, either online or live, is playing against people that open large sizings just as a standard. And I think in this scenario, we could talk about it a little bit more. What's unfortunate is since he's going larger, we really aren't able to peel as profitably. Post-flop becomes much more expensive. Pre-flop, of course, becomes more expensive. But what does the door does open up is now 3-betting becomes a little bit more profitable because he is going to be raise folding more big blinds. So when you're at that like 20 to 25 big blind range, 3-bet shoving becomes infinitely more profitable than when he just min raises because you're getting an extra big blind, a big blind and a half.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that you can combat someone that opens 3x or 3.5x frequently is you're able to maybe take some things that you would have maybe considered flatting but perform well as a 3-bet and 3-bet shove on them and sort of attack them for this mistake because you're printing more money off them long term.
Yeah. Whenever they fold, they're folding more money in the middle, right? Yeah, it's absolutely. It makes three betting people like that really interesting, and we're going to get to talk about that spot in a little bit against Tom specifically, because I end up making a reshove spot, or taking a reshove spot that's a little atypical, because I thought he might fold off of his open. So we'll actually get to see that in action here in just a little bit.
As we have Tom opened up the 6-5 suited. I love this open. I mean, I wouldn't the 3x, not a big fan of, but the 6-5 suited, the idea of doing this at this point is great. I enjoy it. I like your flat here with the king queen off. I think you could maybe 3-bet bluff, but given we don't know what type of stuff he's doing, I'm fine with just flatting. And then Garrett overcalling with the ace-10. I think Garrett flatting with the ace-10. I wouldn't expect it out of him, but 3-bet shoving, because when you flat, your range is probably going to be relatively capped. You're probably not flatting a lot of your middling strength stuff, so either super nutted or you've got something that's going to call fold. And if we are ever at the assumption that Tom will ever raise fold there, 3-bet shoving, the 3-bet squeeze shove is going to be doing well. And with ace-10, ace-10 off doesn't really perform that well multi-way. Post-flop, you have an ace blocker to blocking ace-king, ace-queen, aces, stuff like that. It's a good candidate. It's
interesting, though, because at this stack depth, if I had kings or aces, I would likely flat a lot.
Yeah.
Because there are so many shorties that somebody rejamming is a really common action when there's so many chips in the middle. So
yeah.
I probably would find myself doing that some amount with a bunch of people with these stack depths.
Yeah. I think you get yourself queens here versus Tom's king, queen, or open in the cutoff. Tom defends the big blind.
So curious what my sizing is here.
Yeah, so you go 175. I think that's around 40%, because you're going larger than your open. It's probably...
Probably doesn't need to be, but maybe 25 or 30% of the pot on this really dry board.
Well, I think so. With the texture of this board, it depends who you're c-betting against. If you're c-betting against a young wizard, I think going larger is better, because they're gonna have a ton of combos that are gonna be like pair plus straight draws. A lot of like. They're gonna connect with this board a little bit more frequently, whereas like I can't imagine Tom's gonna be defending like 7-5 offsuit here. I think he's gonna be overfolding. So I think versus Tom, maybe a smaller sizing, defaulting is gonna be a little bit better. But I give the example of the young wizards because they were the most frequent people there that were a very high caliber, and it's an easy target. You could arguably make a larger sizing here. Maybe not with queens, but if you were to ever bluff with like some ace-10 off combos, or if you had like ace-5 suited, that could be something that you could go a little bit larger with. Yeah, so I think this sizing is fine. I think there could be rationales to go for either sizing depending on player dependent.
Can I just say it's interesting that with the king queen of clubs in his position, I probably find a call a lot of times.
Yeah.
So. I think that's an interesting. I would probably get a little bit sticky here. I have 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw in a position where my opponent is likely to c-bet a pretty significant portion of the time. I might find a call with the king queen suited here. So
and what's beautiful about this hand too is if you hit a king or a queen, cool, your hand actually improves. But if the board hits like a deuce, a 6, a 5, a 7, an 8, those are all scary cards for your perceived range where you're sitting. So not only do you have hands that'll improve you that won't necessarily you won't really expect to improve, but you'll also have scare cards that, like, for example, you'll end up checking back, and you'll be able to maybe lead turn or maybe bluff rivers if you don't get there.
Totally believe that that's correct. I think the thing here is that Tom doesn't understand that he has a range advantage for that flop. And so I don't think he has a very good grasp of what that range advantage kind of looks like when he's flying from the big blind. And so, look, if he raises there, even that gets scary, right? Pretty quickly. There's a lot of different things he can do there that make that situation really scary. And instead of trying to be a little bit sticky and playing out the hand multiple streets, when we are the 2 deepest players on the table, he just finds the straight fold. So I don't mind. I don't mind. He doesn't recognize any equity ever when he folds, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Marty shoving it with queen jack. Seems cool to me. Tom finds the fold, gets it through. Marty getting it down. Might just be assuming that since he's on big and already had money in. Oh, you're talking about the ace. Are you talking about the ace-10 hand, Frankie? That was a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the ace-10 hand.
Marty finding the fold.
So Tom has sevens.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to see what his sizing is here.
I mean, so he makes it almost 6x. So this is. I mean, this is where it gets. I mean, we'll get to fold. Oh well, we have ace-9. Okay. So this is interesting because I mean, when somebody like 6x's pre-flop, you kind of have to. I mean, people aren't bluff 6xing, right? They're not going to do this with like Jack 9 suited. It's just such a like this is where like my ex like it's hard to do anything other than speculate at this point, right? It's like I don't think we can flat. I think that is out the window because we can't flat and have an 11 big blind pot. When we hit an ace, we're not necessarily happy. If we had a 9, we're not necessarily happy. And I'm going to guess what you're going to do here. Oh, okay, you do fold. I was going to say, if you shove, I wouldn't... Like, I'm fine with you folding here, but, like, if you shoved... If you ever could think that he would... Like, who 6x folds, right? I don't think anyone ever is. I think we just have to lay it down. It's such a ridiculous thing that... I don't even think we need to even sort of factor in bluffs and stuff like that, because when we do have it, when he folds, we print money, and when he calls, we're printing money. So I think whenever people are doing stuff like that, yeah, folding definitely feels good. I love this limp. I love this limp.
Yes,
oh my god.
So it's interesting. The limp here is actually really interesting because I think now in hindsight it may be a mistake. And so let's talk about this hand for a second. Because,
okay.
I'd
like to hear your rationale and why you think it's a mistake.
Yeah. So in the moment, I'm calling because of game flow. So Marty, I've played with Marty a lot. I've played with Marty, in reality, hundreds of hours of live poker, which is pretty rare that you play with somebody with that kind of regularity. So I know that he's going to be more aggressive than to raise in these positions where we've created a dynamic where I'm limping a lot. And so I'm pretty sure he's going to raise a much wider range of hands. So interesting to find myself in this position where in hindsight what I'm realizing is that he has so few chips behind that I should just be open jamming a huge amount, simply because the amount of money that's already in the middle versus what is in his total stack is such that I think that I should just be open ripping and taking down any money that I can all the time, and reducing the amount of fold equity he would have in any future hands when he just folds off the chips. So, though in game flow the limp is really fun, I think that it is interesting to find myself in the spot where he happens to just have aces. So it's fine. I think the jam is better. I think that the limp jam is also fine. I like the limp jam when my person in the big blind is quite a bit deeper than he is in this spot. So I think the open rip is the right decision here. But so it goes.
So I think we'll go down with ranges before I break down this exact hand. I think I'm going to be defending you in the real time when you had the queens. I think this queens flat is great. So in general, when you're blind versus blind, when you're on a final table, you're going to want to be shoving pretty wide because you know your opponent isn't going to be able to, defend properly. They're going to have to fold some stuff that maybe they won't typically be able to call because there's ICM. But I think with strong, you're going to want to have some traps even at the 10 big blind range. I mean, he has under 9 bigs, But even then, flatting some of your strong stuff to trap, you kind of want to give him the ability to sort of hang himself. When you have like a pretty strong hand with queens, jacks, even tens, you kind of want to give him the ability to sort of, you know, flop top pair on a 9-high board and just have to be like, fuck it, I'm in. And you give him the ability to give himself rope. Or maybe he gets like ace-3 offsuit. Or no, he's already calling that anyways. Maybe he gets like king-3 offsuit in the big. He sees your limp and thinks it's weak and shoves over top. You give him these opportunities to sort of make mistakes post-flop, and you kind of already have a hand that's already dominating in any 2 range, right? Your stacking offers is anything that's better regardless, like what's probably going to happen here. So you really don't care about when the times that he shoves and he just has it. You're really attacking the times that he doesn't have it, where you can maybe pick up an extra big blind when you stab the flop and then bet turn and he folds. Stuff like that. I think having traps here is going to be important, because maybe if you have a hand like Jack 5 suited. No, not Jack 5 suited. Jack 5. I mean, let's think of a really bad hand here. Let's say like 8-5 offsuit. You don't want to shove that, but you know Marty probably isn't going to isolate as often, or Marty might, but he doesn't. You'll be able to limp that. You'll be able to limp stab that, and you'll be able to take down pots and still make chips without having to, you know, shove and risk the chips. So I think in real time, this is probably the best way you could have played this. You're going to be shoving a lot, but you don't have to shove queens.
Yeah, so exactly why in the moment I made the decision, you know, and look at me even here.
I mean, Marty making it like 200K off of 500K is just like,
oh.
I think in real time I would be like, oh my god, we just bink the queen.
And then he shakes my hand and I won't let go. I actually say to him, I'm not letting go of your hand until this board runs out. He's like, no, just shake my hand so I can go away. And I'm like, no way I'm doing that. There's no way I'm shaking your hand and letting you go until I know what happens here.
God. That's such a sick setup and such a tease. Like, what's the point? I would just give him the ace on the flop. Don't waste my time here.
When I saw the queen in the window, though, I was like, man, am I really going to run this hot? I actually had that thought. Like, man, I'm really just going to run this hot.
Are we really just going to hit a jack on the river? I mean, I think if hitting a queen on the flop, if the jack came on the river and we chopped it up, it'd be like, you know what, it's better than losing. I'll take it. I'd be pretty content.
Better than the actual outcome.
Yeah. Spoiled because I knew they were playing heads up at the end. Yeah, I guess some people don't know in the chat how it's going to particularly break down. So if you don't want to spoil, that'd be appreciated. I mean, we do know Nathan wins.
I may have to watch that too because I may spoil, so I have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, because we know that Flying Tomahawk hits the screen behind us with 3 players remaining. Oh shit! Sorry, I spoiled it. Ugh. We got Tom here opening. This time it's a little over 4x with. What is Marty doing here?
I do not know. Does he call?
I think he's still putting out his big blind.
The call from the small blind?
No, I think he's still putting out his small blind. Marty did this a lot. Marty did this Hollywooding stuff a lot, and I just never believed it. Just make a note to text Marty to tell him to burn that visor. He's a blood donor. Yeah, Marty did that a lot. He did a lot of the... How much is that? He hummed and hawed, and then he acted. He did... Maybe it's like unnecessary, like, timing tell balancing was just like, just fold.
Yeah, he's balancing his timing tell range. Maybe.
His hair does flow pretty well out of that visor. I think the visor complements his hair pretty well. I don't think we need to burn any visors.
I have 8s in the cutoff here.
Yeah, should be seeing a little raised daisy here. Looks like we're at 80K big blind now. Yeah. Sizing seems good. Oh, looks like it's actually a little bit larger.
So yeah, so here we go. Right. So this is a little bit bigger than I need to be with the 225 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if this was one of the misclicks you talked about before, you know, happens, but you know, we've talked about this, you know, sizings around 2.3 at best. 2-ish is usually cool.
This is a pretty clear mistake, and it's interesting because Marty decides to fold the ace-jack offsuit there, and I wonder if it's due to the fact that I opened to that sizing.
Oh my god. Did Tom just shove?
So yeah, Tom just shoves. And it's interesting because, again, I don't think at any point I ever have a really good grasp on what's happening in his mind and why he's making some of the decisions that he's making. But yeah, so he just decides that I'm full of bullshit and decides to just jam it in there.
I mean, we drilled the 8 on the flop. I think if we were, as we hold here, bang bang.
Yeah. I mean that backdoor spade is a pair.
That never feels good. Oh my god, no.
Crazy.
It's just gut wrenching. I was gonna say the I think if you had like, if it was at 80K big blind and you had, I think you had like 1.5 million. Yeah, I think it's fine. Never mind. For some reason, when I was like thinking about it, I thought you only had 1.2 million. No, that seems fine. The bet call seems cool with me. As we see, let's fast forward here a bit. Look at those chips. Yeah, I'm gonna screenshot that. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is the kind of like the biggest chip lead that I'm gonna have too at any point.
It's like a 2.75 F. Yeah, I think it's large. It's like a 2.8.
Yeah, it's a little big. Yeah, I think it's 2.75. I think it's a little big. And of course, I just continue to run like fire here and get hands. So.
Yeah, we make it 225 again. Yeah, I remember you doing this, and I was like, okay. All right, I guess we're just going big. We get the raise and take it there with ace queen.
Yeah, raise and take there.
Yeah, so far we get to zoom in. I love that you'll just occasionally get to see me there. You see
look at this crew now. There's the Vadernator and Jimmy and Kevin Gerhardt.
Oh, there's a particular mod right there. Who's that guy?
Tastes like turtles.
Tastes like turtles. Yeah. There's a face to the name. Okay, pal. Okay, but what's up? John in the mix. Grindathon. If you ever at any point want to chime in, a very, very respected poker player. Lots to potentially learn from.
Frank is asking if 8s can ever be a fold there. I mean, we can look back at the stack depths, but I don't think we can ever fold 8s there.
I mean, we can actually just run it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good hand to run. I mean, so we're at 80, 40. So we're at 5 left. So what's 80,000 divided by 5 is 16. Okay, 60,000. 60,000 ante. Next, so we'll say that there's an opening to 20. Oh yeah, we gotta stack sizes. So there's no big. So big blind had. So I have the stacks after you just doubled up. So Jacob had about that. Small blind had 3.4 million. Button had, it was Garrett had this much, and then cutoff Marty had this much, and then you had like 1 point. All right, no flat on. Open, under the gun opens, and we'll give you a tighter range. Let's give it a quick run here. Yeah, we'll give you 5s. Are you gonna open up every suited ace there in that spot, do you think?
Yeah, probably am with the chip lead. I probably am gonna open up.
Oh, this is before the chip lead. So you were like 3rd in chips probably.
Oh, what do I have?
Well, so like you had half of what you have now, because this is after you won.
Oh, got it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not opening. If I'm not opening something, it's not going to be the ace 2s, ace 3, ace 4, ace 5. It's maybe the ace 6, ace 7, ace 8, ace 9 kind of hands for me. I might find myself not opening quite as much.
Okay, we'll just throw that for the sake of.
Yeah, that seems a little more accurate.
Yeah, we'll give you the suited. Well, I'll assume you maybe fold this. We'll say that. Cutoff folds, button, and then run it. So, assuming everything, if he shoves, you should be calling 7s plus. Yeah, so 8s is doing pretty well. I mean, let's fix his shoving range first. Let's assume that he's not.
Man, that's way closer than I would have thought. So
I mean, I don't think he's gonna be shoving this stuff.
I'm not sure who asked that question. Great question, though, man. It's surprisingly closer than I would have thought.
I mean, he did king queen off, so he's gonna have. I mean, he's definitely not shoving this stuff. We'll get rid of that and get rid of that. I think it's gonna be a little bit closer. God, I just can't imagine him ever shoving ace-5 suited. I don't know. Do you think we'll give him ace-5 suited only, and then I think this is probably more accurate of what it's probably. I mean, if he's gonna shove king queen off, he'll probably shove ace-10 off. We'll give him king jack off. We'll give him that 50% of the time. I don't know. We're kind of just speculating.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So given that, that makes 8s a raise fold. Interesting. Yeah, once we give him a little bit of a tighter range, if we take away, like, you know, his 5s, his 6s, or take away his 5s, his 4s. Let me see what happens if we just give him 5s and like 50% of 4s. Let's say that. Yeah, ace becomes break even if you start to give him some smaller pairs. I think that's the major thing. And this is assuming, like, the problem with this is, like, a lot of what we're beating, I just don't know if he's ever gonna shove. Like, I mean, if we start giving him all the suited aces or all the wheel aces, then it performs even better.
Right, but I suspect that's not reality. So
yeah. So I guess it probably does end up being a bit of a, despite, you know, us 2.3xing, I think it's probably does end up being a fold. Yeah, I was actually wondering it, but I mean, I kind of felt like in general it's going to be a call, but I never really factored in how tight he's going to be. Yeah, yeah, whoever brought it, who has to double check there.
So
Frank Banks, good call there with the fine there. Show Pat more. Yeah, we need to hope that they zoom in more. Tell tastes like turtles to unban me from 24/7 and up. Lol. Pat on the rails better than hand history. Psh. Now you're just flattering me.
and then your mod's just trolling you straight up. So good.
I hope Pat Setting just says thanks, pal. Guy that puts his pinky toe in the chat and all of a sudden a good poker player is here. Hey IGC, I put food on your table with my Sunday Million. You watched your mouth.
So good, so good.
You didn't have to eat.
What happened here?
It looks like Marty opened the King 9 offsuit, and you defended the Queen 7 off. I think.
So I think this is the absolute bottom of my range. And maybe it's just a fold. What was his sizing? He bet 175.
This is gonna be something we could throw up with the Razor Edge charts. I'm gonna pull it up. I think big blind versus okay. I think I'm not gonna get in trouble. I was allowed to do this with some hands here, so this is a good spot for us to. All right. For some reason, all my big blind versus where's my. Okay, I'm just gonna close this. For some reason, my Razor Edge chart's just like mega zoomed out. There we go. Okay, big blind. Defend. Where's my big blind? Where's the big blind defend chart? Am I tripping out here? I'm only seeing big blind defense versus multi-way.
I can't see what you're.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. I mean, we're not flashing anything here, but like I'm trying to find the. That it's flatting and 3-betting. That's where it is. Okay, I don't want to show everything. So, versus a Marty made it how big pre-flop?
It's 80. It's 80k big blind. He made it 175.
Okay, so he made it so like a 2 point. We'll call it a 2x. Versus a 2x, and we'll say it's like 20. Yeah. 2.1 big blind versus we'll say MP. Yeah, so as we can see here, big blind versus MP. You could defend a fair amount of your queen X here. Queen 7, queen 6, queen 5, queen 4, or even probably defends. This is definitely pretty wide. It's interesting to note. And just looking at what you should be shoving. These are all things. If you guys have Razor Edge, exclamation point our way in the chat if you don't already have it. One of the many charts. This is just flatting versus NP. Look at all these cool charts you can get. You know, queen 7 definitely going to be profitable to defend. Given the fact that it's the final table and he's probably not going to open as wide, you could maybe tighten up a bit, but you could probably take out the queen 6s, the queen 5s, the queen 4s. I think queen 7 is going to perform pretty well.
I'm going to ask you to pull one of those charts back up later when we're going to have a different hand, because I'm really curious about a rejam that I made that I am still unsure if it is correct. So it'll be interesting to see what the Razor Edge tool says about a rejam that I make with Jack 10 suited later.
Oh, look at this. We got
Did you see Tyson Apostle and Spraggy there?
Having a conversation. I like that. That's a look.
Also, for people who just watch Spraggy on stream, they don't realize he's so tall.
I mean, I'm tall too.
I know you're tall, but like I knew you were tall, and I thought Spraggy was like a little scrawny nerd, and he's actually
he's a giant.
He's a really giant guy.
What's in the water out there in the UK? To be honest, I had to play 2 days to unlock the food, but yeah, thank you. Sounds like those cops started right outside. I haven't heard any sirens. Sirens have been good lately. The streets have been clean out here in Toronto. You hear the sirens roaring.
Well, El Sriracha, everybody's tall to you. I mean, you're short.
Yeah, you're gonna flatter everyone.
I'm gonna troll on her, and she's gonna give me the heat. I don't mind.
So Tom's got almost an over 4x open here. Yeah, I remember this spot. Tom 4x open, and then Jacob just slam dunk shoves the 7s. Marty gets out of the way, and then Tom had to hum and haw about this for a while because you just 3.5x opened. I have to round up to 5-3. How did the FTC coup end up? We got 7th. Fucking IDT. Fucking troll.
Wow, he really does. He just puts the tank on for this, huh?
Yeah, I remember he Hollywooded for so long, and I was like, I mean, you 3.5x open, you kind of have to call.
Yeah, so again, all of this is going to come into play because
we saw your brand new wife there vlogging. I saw that, and he does make the call. When you're done dating Pio, hit me up. Oh,
so good, so good.
I'm German in my approach. Pio's the one for me. 7s, binking the straight on the turn, locking it up, locks it up. Easy skins. We'll just zoom forward here as we see your face here. Yeah, this is a long count. Pio puts out accurate solutions. All right. Yeah, I think you make it 225 for like the rest of this level.
Yeah, I just consistently decided to make it too large for this whole level. Good job, me.
And we don't need to. God, Marty just hums and haws about it. Okay. I thought he made that one longer. Garrett with the A7 here. I think this has to be a side. Woof! Laying it down. I think that should have been a. 520k. Gonna have to get it in there.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't really see a rejam there.
Saved you some money. I mean, you're gonna have to call it off. God, Kyle, you're 33. Jeez. Not to rag on you.
Hey now, some of us wish we were 33. All right, so here we go with this hand.
Ace-5 suited, we opie dopey, and taking it down. Easy. All right, we're getting some. Oh wait, let's it looks like bringing up age here. We're stepping on some toes here, so I'm gonna shut the fuck up. All right. Well, soft topic. Never gonna bring that one up again.
I mean, you know,
age is just a number. It's just a social construct.
You young ones. I mean, I'm probably older than everybody in the chat, so I'll just keep my mouth shut.
I mean, someone could surprise you. You'd be surprised. Sometimes there's some people that are up there. Maybe someone will one-up you.
So it's interesting with the Queen 7 suited here. I wonder if I'm supposed to open actually.
Yeah, good call. I mean,
it looks like I'm glad I didn't, but
I mean, so looking at the stacks, Jacob is in the big blind. He's second in chips. It's interesting because Tom and Garrett are both super short, but they're short enough that like I don't actually care if I raise call. Marty's not going to get out of line. I don't hate the idea of raising. I think making it like 2.5x here, putting Jacob in a spot where he can't defend as much, or even making it. I think you can actually make it 3x here, because you're not going to fold to Tom or Garrett's open. This is something that like is. You're kind of fucking with Jacob. He has to overfold, and you're basically never folding to Tom and Garrett anyways. So you're basically just attacking Jacob's open. So you go a little bit larger. The only problem is because of Marty, but I don't think Marty will ever get out of line. So you lose an extra big blind more than normal, but I think it combats that by attacking Jacob here with that open.
So the other thing is of note, and you're going to hear me talk about this more in a little bit, is that Jacob seems to be overfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I think Jacob is overfolding, I think I should be opening the Queen 7 suited there.
Yeah. And if you make it a little bit larger, I think it's perfect because with the 6 big blind stacks, they're probably, even though they shouldn't, they might decide to fold a little bit more than they should. It's kind of a weird thing. As we are about to see me again incoming. There we are. Oh, we got a lot of TV time here. I didn't expect this. I wasn't trying to make this about me. Already folding the King 7. Garrett, I think this will be a take here. I think Ace 3. You've got 6 bigs. Sometimes you just gotta gamble. And he does make the shove. I like it. Jacob with the Ace Jack. And he shoves. Oh, that smile he gave you too. Oh, and Nathan in the big blind here. This is the hand. This is the hand. 10s in the big blind. Let's pull up some Hold'em resources calculator here. We just ran the chip stacks too. So in the big blind you have 3.4 million. In the small blind we have a 2.6 million chip stack. On the button we have a 525 chip stack. The cutoff has a 480 stack.
Hold on one second. So I'm in the big blind, right? And I have I have 3.3.
Yeah, 3.3 after your small blind ante.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give you 3.34. Alright. Alright, everything else seems fine. Let's give this a run. Trying to fry 10 for my cold dead hands. Alright, so we'll get this one out of the way. So we have a shove here and a 3-bet shove. We're about to find it in a second here.
Yeah.
It is an 8+ spot. Now let's do some editing here because we don't know exactly. Let's do some editing here. Okay, there's no small frequency stuff here. I feel like given some of Garrett's stuff, I think we can take away a lot of this stuff. I mean, we'll give him that. Yeah, I think we'll give him that. I think we'll take away some stuff that like people just aren't shoving enough, and then let's edit this because this is going to be
so
changed.
this is the interesting one because
I mean he's just not showing up at that.
So I suspect, and then this is just me speculating, but I suspect that Ace 10 suited and Ace 10 off are the bottom of his range. Now, I say that to say that I watched him play for only a bit. I knew that he had never really played a live tournament before. He was there. He was actually in Reno visiting a friend, watching another friend play, who I ended up playing with quite a bit in the main event. So I just think his range is extremely tight. I don't think it's accurate. But even if I'm giving him ace-10 or ace-9 or maybe king-jack suited, things like that, I think we should give him king-jack suited at some frequency as well. I think that you're going to see that I should always be calling.
Yeah. I mean, just giving him a little bit tighter of a range. We'll say he doesn't always shove this too. I mean, yeah, I think this is probably close.
I think the king-queen is probably close. I think the king-jack suited is probably close. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think the 8s or the 7s are going to always be the line.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So the equity of the 10s is just too strong.
Yeah. And giving him an even like the tightest possible range we can. 10s printing. It's interesting, the gap between 10s and 9s is just insane. It's actually a pretty big gap.
Bowie Effect is mentioning that this is an extremely tight range. Yes, yeah. I know that it's extremely tight range, but we had actually been having somebody watch the stream during his hands, and his range was that tight based on the information we had at the time. So we were, using, it's one of the benefits of having a group of people that support you when you play, as I had a group of people watching the stream and giving me the information as I went over to the rail about where his range had been up to this point. So it's a really bizarre spot, and yes, I make a mistake here for sure. From a mathematical standpoint, it's worth noting. It's worth noting that I feel like I have a little bit of an edge in the field too, and so I don't know that I want to be in this spot. Having this all in pot for 2.7 million, and yeah, I would have chips left over. I'd have about 500K left over, 600K left over. So I think that comes into play, but I just feel like some amount of conserving my stack is also valuable. Though even with all of that said, I think it's a pretty clear mathematical mistake to fold the 10s. So
yeah, I think if there was the case that this wasn't like a winner-take-all tournament, as I'm going to hit play here. If this wasn't like effective winner-take-all, maybe 10s start to become a little bit, like if you change the payout structure a bit, 10s probably become a little bit closer. And we knew Jacob was going to be tight, and we gave him the tightest possible range. Yeah, I think, just going over the numbers, I mean, it's a close spot still. I mean, it's a pretty big jump between 10s and 9s, but it's... I mean, folding here isn't... I mean, we know jacks is a snap. It's just 10s just feels so borderline. You're basically this is for the win. It's basically
I grind this. Actually, he nails it because it's a winner take all. You absolutely have to take every EV kind of like plus EV spot possible, and so I'm gonna say that more than anything, I suspect that this is an education league, right? Like, I didn't think that 10s was ahead of his range, but in reality, his range can't be so tight that it's impossible for me to be ahead of his range. And clearly, jacks is a call. Like, I would have snapped it off with jacks. So to find myself folding the 10s here is pretty bold.
And then you could see, I mean, when you turn around, Kevin and I are like, no, no. I think because Kevin saw your hand when you looked it up, when you flashed it, so we knew he had 10s. We're just like,
yeah, there are ICM spots, Irish stud, but they're really small. I mean, Pat, can you show the pads?
Yeah. We'll pull out the pads here. So, Garrett just got eliminated in 5th place for 24-15. As you see, first is the Platinum Pass, second is 10K, third is 5K.
Right. So there are some ICM considerations, but they're pretty minor and they aren't right now. So the ICM considerations here for fifth place don't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, small pay jump, but yeah, it's just you gotta. It just sucks to have to play for the win in a spot like that, but you just gotta sometimes. It's yeah. I mean, what's important is we just got to take from it and learn. We get to see Garrett getting some GGs. Oh, there's Aaliyah. Hey, there you are, girl. You're getting some screen time here on the stream.
Yeah, and leaving all of that equity on the table when we do that, right? I think that I think it's Bowie effect here that's just saying like, if we win this hand, we win the tournament so often, right? Like I think that is the reality. I think when we win that hand, we win the tournament a lot of the time. And so in the exact position, we need to just go with it and have the gamble. Clearly, I would have won that and would have had a double elimination too. And I don't know if Jimmy is still watching in the chat, but he actually said to me that when he watched the hand history of this, he laughed because I basically was going to win this tournament no matter what I did. So this is one of the spots in which I would have knocked two people out and had a lot of chips to kind of finish it out. I took a different path.
Actually, Bowie brought up a good point. Another way to look at it is looking at a future game simulation, which simulates the hands. It simulates like after you play that, playing the certain number of hands after. I kind of like the idea of going over that. Going future game simulation, evaluating it. Yeah, it's still pretty similar. Nines becomes less cool. It's pretty break even, but it's a future game simulation. For those who don't know, it runs through however many orbits ahead after you make this decision. So it assumes that you make all the plus CV calls. It assumes you make all the ones that are positive and fold all the ones that are negative, and then runs through 3 orbits or 4 orbits or 5 orbits future game to determine what would happen next. And yeah, tens is still doing pretty well.
I mean, clearly tens is a huge hand, so I totally get it and see this as a mistake, and I suspect it's not a mistake I'll be making again anytime soon.
Yeah, I think the important thing is we learn from it. I think Ellie, she got a question for you. I'll let you answer that one.
So Aaliyah's asking me a question here. She says, if you hadn't won the pass, were you going to sell action and play? Also, are you selling any pieces now that you have the pass? So I'm happy to kind of answer both of these and say, if I had not won a pass, I was not intending to sell action and play the 25K. And now that I do have the pass, yes, I am selling a couple of pieces to some people who I have kind of like long relationships with for either selling action to or doing swaps with. So yeah, a little bit, but I'm keeping a huge amount of myself. I'm keeping a huge amount of myself. I'm keeping more equity in this tournament than anything I've ever played, including the main event, including probably a month's worth of tournaments during the summer. So yeah, I think that when you work really hard to find yourself in a position where you're free rolling into an event, you want to use the free roll so that you can take a swing at winning some life-changing money.
So I wanted to pause it because I noticed this hand. I think ace-8 here. I mean, Marty's got like 15 bigs. Yeah. I think
so
ace-8.
This is a disaster of a hand, and it goes back to the queen limp before. I think this is just a position where I should be always open ripping, and I think all of us know that. And I think that the really strange dynamic that just happened here is that I just folded tens in a spot where I would have knocked two people out, and I'm not totally sure how present I am in the hand.
Yeah, so I mean, of the ways we could have played this, the 3x fold hurts. Yeah, I mean, you explained why, and I can understand it. emotions are running a little bit high. You just made a tight fold that, you know, we were telling you in real time you should have called. And yeah, I think right there you're standing up like, you should have called the tens. So that's telling you it right now.
Yeah. We're still talking about the tens. This hand doesn't even exist in my head. It really sucks that you know, mentally I wasn't there.
Yeah, and it's so we're talking about it now. Yeah, I mean, we can shake it off, but yeah, in spots like that, almost any ace is a shove. A lot of hands have just become shoves.
Yeah.
I mean, we are playing for the win, but now it's starting. We're getting, you know, the page ups become a little bit more significant. We're able to start to trash talk. Have we given strat talk on the guy in the yellow hat? What's the deal with that? I don't know if you want to break down Marty.
Well, I don't know if he's talking specifically about the yellow hat, which I feel like El Sriracha and somebody else, maybe I grind this before, talked about in depth, specifically about the yellow hat and the hair. So, oh, there we go. Ali is actually saying, yeah, burn the hat. So I don't know if you're asking specifically about the hat or about the player. The player is somebody that I've played with quite a lot. He plays the World Series of Poker every summer. He goes to a lot of the kind of like middle-sized buy-in, sub $1,000 kind of events, and he also goes to the PCA every year, and really enjoys the Bahamas. And so I really like Marty. He's a really interesting guy and player, and he's a Reno local, and he's been at all the run-it-ups. So I have a lot of history with him as an individual player, and it creates some really strange dynamics sometimes when you play with someone who's so much, and you kind of have expectations about how they may respond or behave. So that's who Marty is and the deal with him. I think Aaliyah had mentioned, like, if she's feeling better that she'll be in the PCA. Girl, I hope you're feeling great and are there. That's what I have to say to that. Just let's do it.
If I make it a better see you there. As you see, you calling the short stack shove there with the 10-8 suited slam dunk. Something I wanted to note while we watched this all in was the fact that Jacob folded his big blind with Jack 10 suited, which is pretty out of line. Or Jack 10 off. He won a nightly for 112 after playing a tournament and winning 10K. Lol.
Yeah, so again, Aaliyah's saying here that Marty got second place in the Monster Stack in Tahoe for 10K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I actually saw that 10K score on his Hendon mob when I was actually looking at my Hendon mob and was kind of going through some stuff. So, yeah, I mean, look, he plays a lot and he makes a lot of deep runs. I think he's a really unorthodox player who's extremely aggressive, and I think that his aggression wins him a lot of chips in tournament poker, especially in the fields that he plays in, both from a kind of buy-in level that he plays in and in the communities that he plays in. I think his aggression really pays off.
All right, we got Tom Effective all in here with the King 10 suited. Interesting fold with the Ace 6 suited.
So this is the hand I was thinking of before. So how much does he put in here?
He puts in 400K out of 710, so he puts in 5x of his.
Okay, so
five out of his 9 bigs.
So there's something that happens here that it's really crazy, because I make a really odd decision to go all in. So let's just go through, and you're gonna see me jam. And I'm doing this for kind of a really bizarre reason, and I think it's unbelievable to people what the reason is, which is I'm wondering if he can ever fold. So when you're looking at me make really strange faces to myself here right now, I'm wondering if he will ever fold to a jam. And I know that that may sound to somebody who plays a lot online or who just plays a lot or understands strategy really well, that sounds impossible. Against this exact player, I don't think, in fact, in this moment sitting here, what I'm suggesting, I don't think it's impossible. I think that me jamming here does create a circumstance sometimes where this particular type of player does find a fold some percentage of the time. Now, of course, I also know that from just a jamming perspective, it's not a great jam. in that I'm not going to find myself in a really good position against him a lot of times. But it's a really strange position to find myself in a hand where he opens so large, and that I actually think that there is some small chance that he'll ever fold and leave all those chips in the middle.
I actually don't think it's that bad of a jam. So you've got 2.8 million. The kid's got probably like 4 million or something.
We should know the answer because there's only so many chips in play, right?
Yeah. Alright, this should be... Oh wait, we're still 5-handed, shit. Alright, so this is 28. And then the kid had like 4 million. Let's just pretend that he shoves, right?
Yeah.
7, 3,
yeah,
5.
yeah, we should basically just assume he shoves because that's
basically what he's doing, yeah. And then
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I
we are
that.
four-handed.
I don't know if it takes away the capacity for the fold equity though. So maybe we don't want to say that.
All right. Yeah, we are four-handed. What am I doing? Yeah. So let's just assume that. Wait, did I fuck that up? Did I? I'm just gonna get rid of this. Basic hand. We got it right. What just happened? There we go. Yeah, so if we just assume he shoves from the small, I guess ace-5 suited is slightly losing. Yeah, so like ace-5 suited itself, I didn't feel like it'd be that. I felt that it would be close, but
I mean, it is close.
Yeah.
You know, it's extremely close, but
yeah, I didn't instinctively think it was awful bad. I think that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is with this particular player, it just creates all sorts of strange dynamics. And again, I really, even today, I still feel like there's a good chance that he just finds a fold there. And I say that too because, you know, there are spots where I'm making folds with the tens, for instance, right? So why does it make sense that all of a sudden I am finding this spot where I'm jamming the ace-5 suited? Of course, I flop the world here, right? And then just fold. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's a huge error. I just think it's an interesting spot because I'd been playing pretty conservatively and make this fold with the tens, and then I find this spot where I'm just like, this seems like a place to jam it in. I think that it's a fine hand to jam it in with on some level, but at the same time, you know, if I see that flop, I mean, I can't call clearly, but if I see that flop, we're always getting it in. And this is Marty talking about a deal, by the way. You know, I think that it's interesting to talk about the deal a little bit. It's one of the things that people don't talk about a lot of times. So, you know, basically what Marty is offering is that we chop the payouts evenly right now. He wants to chop the payouts evenly and play for the pass. So that's what he's suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not going to happen. I mean, you both have infinite more than him. Yeah, it's a pretty outlandish request. Just the chop 75. Yeah, I think that's silly.
Assuming old Nit is playing GTO mixed strategy and your solver. So again, not an old Nit. I would say that he's nearly the opposite. He's an old maniac. Yeah.
He wanted an even chop dressed like that. Yeah, I think this is where we're giving you advice. We're like, yeah, offer them this. We're like, give them X amount of money. There's Tyson.
We are talking about a chop though. He probably sells used cars now. He's retired. I think he did quite well for himself. He's retired. I think he's quote unquote playing poker full time.
Wait, top prize is 30K and a pass? No, just the 30K pass itself, and then second is 10,000 cash.
So, okay, so that's the deal. That's what happens. We both, basically, Jacob and I both come back and say no deal immediately, but we had the conversation.
Yeah. Even chop. No. And then Marty looks like he shoves. Did you open the button? Yeah, you did. So this is a little wide, but if we're assuming that Jacob's doing, this might be a little too wide, but I think it's probably the idea is right. I think Jack 4 off is a little too wide, but I think the idea is right. We should be putting a lot of pressure on Jacob, and if he is going to overfold, I mean, this is a 5K jump now. This is going to be a lot of money for him. I think the idea is right, just a little too wide.
Yeah, too wide for sure. And yes, the chop was 5K for each of us. That is what we were talking about, 5K for each of us, and we played for the pass.
Marty's still chit-chatting about stuff. Yeah, I think I think seeing this and like Jacob just shoving 30 bigs here with ace jack suited. I mean, it ends up being what he does a fair amount. It's just like usually when people get short-handed and they're inexperienced, they tend to default to just like doing these sorts of things where they just like rip like however many bigs. And if this keeps happening and no meta gets established of like seeing hands post flop, they usually just end up keep doing this where they just like rip and just all in. And there's no thought to even playing post flop. Like I think for him with that ace jack suited, that should have been at least a 3x, something like that, 2.5, 3x. I saw you folded 5 deuce off there. I mean, staying active is important, but I don't think you need to play every hand. And we don't need to be dick slinging, so you can fold the 5 deuce off pretty comfortably. I mean, Marty gets a little out of line, so I think versus players that are getting out of line, not play too straightforward. Folding the bottom 5%, always good. But I am someone that doesn't fold a lot. Yeah, so I think this right here, this 8-4 suited. This actually could have been a really, really good open. I think 8-4 suited would have been a great open for you on the button. Applying pressure on someone that's going to be overfolding, and then Marty's really going to be in shove or fold mode. Yeah, so someone brought up that they're not losing that much EV shoving, but you're actually losing a lot because you should be making money playing ace jack suited post flop or inducing post flop or inducing just pre flop. You make more money that way. Marty with the 7-3 suited doesn't get saucy, does find the fold, and Jacob just folded an ace-6. At least the limp. Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of passive play out of Jacob here in the small blind. There's no way Jacob opens 4-3 suit on the button. Yep. Now, I know you and Marty do battle a bit. So, I mean, in general, having a limping strategy versus Marty is going to be okay. Some of the time when I'm deciding if I'm going to limp or not, determines whether or either limp or possibly raise is whether or not I'm comfortable calling. I'm comfortable limp folding, or if I'm comfortable limp calling. I think King 7, if he's isolating a lot, I would probably limp. But if he's not isolating a lot, I think just raising this is going to be fine. If he's not raising over top of your limp, I would probably have just 2.5x'd it.
So, it's interesting here. I feel like I'm actually still in this moment not totally sure how to play this hand. I find myself c-betting here, and in hindsight, I'm not totally sure. Like, I understand that I have a lot of backdoor equity here, 2 overs, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. I'm not totally sure what the behavior should be, blind versus blind, in a situation where I limp. Clearly, this I don't know that there's a huge range advantage from either of us, but I think the limp stab here is not terrible because there's a lot of opportunity for me to just take down the pot here. Curious what your thoughts are on the bet here, the C bet here, or the kind of like open bet here versus this limp range.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah. So on a board like 6-3 deuce, if you're limping as wide as you should hit this a decent amount. But when Marty checks back, like he's going to have all the deuces, the 3s, the 6s that aren't isolating. He's going to have a decent amount of it. So while this is a perceivably dry board, he's going to be hitting this a little bit more. So you going larger, you doing 1.5 big blinds, I actually really like. I prefer it. It's a board that hits him more frequently, so going larger is an effective way to combat that. Whenever the board will favor a big blind's range, or your opponent's range, going larger in general is the better sizing to make. With King 7 here, exactly, you have so many backdoors. Like any overcard you're barreling. Any 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, all scary cards. 7s and Kings are value cards for you. And hearts you're going to be able to barrel as well. So really the only turns you're not double barreling on are 4s, 5s, 6s, 3s, deuces. And even, this basically, you have a vast majority of the deck that you're going to barrel. Even you might still barrel the deuce of hearts. You might still barrel the deuce of hearts. You might still barrel the 4 or 5 of hearts. So I think you played this one really well. I like the limp 3 flop, and I like the sizing on the flop. I think Marty makes some absurd raise here.
Yeah, he makes it 500K on top, I think is what he makes it.
Yeah, we're 17 effective post flop. It's a 100K big one. And I think yeah, so once we get to this point where he raises you here, I think we just have to fold. Was jam pre mentioned? I mean, jamming pre is going to be fine, but like we started like off 18.5 bigs. I don't think we need to be shoving. I think shoving's okay, but I don't think we need to.
I mean, we're well ahead of his range if I just jam pre, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think jamming pre is bad with his stack size. So definitely, it may actually be best. So it's an interesting question. It may actually just be best as jam pre.
Yeah, I guess Bowie brought up a good point. It's not bad to raise 6-4 suit. I don't know. I'm typically not raising too often with that sort of thing. I mean, I like to allow people to barrel off into me. There are bad turns, so it is fine just to get it in there. But I won't shit on Marty, I guess. My next online poker username is going to be Trap Queen. Trap.
Pretty good.
Gang.
Pretty good.
Marty with the King 10. A fair point, boy. Appreciate you bringing it up.
So Marty's going to open this, which makes a lot of sense. Curious what his sizing is here.
Sizing 2.5. Okay. Just an awkward 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
And then defending the 8-4 suited. All right. Flop comes Jack 10-4. Did he just shove?
Again, I think the 8-4 suited is probably kind of at the bottom of my range and maybe it's one of the worst hands. Maybe I shouldn't actually be defending the 8-4 suited.
No, I think pretty much everything suited you're defending.
At 2.5x, you think?
Oh, I guess at 2.5x, yeah. I often gloss over that. I think any suited hands that make straights you're going to defend, you can maybe fold like if it's a standard openings, I think maybe you could fold like 7 deuce or 8 deuce off. But yeah, any suited combo that can make straights is just always going to be a defend. Even like 3 deuce suited or like 5 deuce suited. I think the ones like 9 deuce suited, 8 deuce suited, 7 deuce suited, 9-3 suited, those are the ones that you could probably think about folding. But anything that's going to be able to make straights that's suited, you should be peeling. And then once you start getting to the offsuit combos, that's when you start to think about folding. But suited combos, you're almost always sticking around. Any 2 is chip EV, 2.5x on the button. Yeah.
And so again, this is a little bit of game flow too. Now clearly there are optimal decisions, but what's happening here, and the reason that I'm limping the Queen 4 off and the King 7, or I would say the Queen 4 suited and the King 7 suited, some of that is game flow in comparison to limping the Queens before too. So it's interesting. Sometimes that stuff matters, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's definitely what's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, blind versus blind strategy, a lot of people have a lot of differing strategies. I mean, I've kind of crafted my own out of my own play style and what I've learned from my coaches. I think having a play style where you're going to be limping things like Queen 4 suited is going to be fine. I mean, limp calling it is always a little dicey, but you still have a suited queen. I think, you know, limping of this stack depth, you know, we're like 23 bigs effective. I think it's fine. I probably would be stabbing flop here. I'd bet one big blind. Because I mean, you have the overcard, you have the gut shot, and he's gonna have a decent amount of hands that are probably just gonna check folding here as well. Oh my god. So you raise, and he just, it's not, I'm not obligating because he just snap shoves.
He just snap shoves.
He just, so I don't hate the idea of the check raise here, because like if he stabs here with like an 8 or a 9, he hates his life. But I think the problem with this is he's not going to fold. He's not going to fold flush draws with this sizing. I think you made it, yeah, you made it like, how much did he bet? He made it like 100 and...
Yeah, so...
Yeah, we need to rewind this for a second. You made it 180. You made it 420. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be check raising here, just because I think if he had... I don't think he's going to have too many folds. I would appreciate it if you had at least like a flush draw or even a backdoor flush draw, but with just a naked gut shot, I think this is a little ambitious. And that's why I prefer limp stabbing, because check calling is too awkward, and you're kind of getting blown off your equity if you're one overcard in your gut shot. And if you stab and he raises you here, you're like, okay, fine, fold. But yeah, when you check and he bets, I mean, he could stab pretty profitably and destroy your range.
So it's interesting. I actually think that my hand is an interesting candidate for other reasons. One of them being that I block a lot of the kind of jack hands that he has, like a queen. I'm thinking about like these kind of like queen jack hands, whatever other hands that he can have that are hands where maybe he has one diamond and a straight draw, whatever. I have to tell you, so there are some spots, and maybe we missed the hand where he finds himself check raising ace king on a dry flop where he just has 2 random overs and he check raises it. There are definitely some spots where I have some information about the way he's playing some hands where I do this really intentionally in a spot with this really wet board, thinking that he isn't going to jam a hand like Jack 4.
Yeah.
But clearly I'm wrong and get shown the door very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, Bowie says blockers don't really mean anything when it's limp checked. Like we block things like queen 9, queen 8, queen jack, but like it's spots like this where we kind of wish we had like the queen of diamonds, and then maybe blocker effects become a little bit more prevalent. Sure. But I just don't think we're blocking enough.
Again, I don't think the blockers matter for the pre-flop action. I think that they matter for a spot where he can jam here versus my check raise.
Yeah, and I mean, normally people aren't jamming on versus check raises here too often either. So
yeah, I mean, I've talked to Jimmy about this hand already, and Jimmy says that this check raise is just terrible because any hand that he can continue with at all, he's never folding because the board is just so wet. So yeah, clearly it just ends up being a mistake.
As we go on here to the 8s, opening the button, Marty, the ace-3 suited, an actual spot to Hollywood. Maybe he wants to bluff. He doesn't take it though. Interesting, he doesn't take that spot. Yeah, Jacob's a nit.
Yeah, and he seems like a great kid, but he is overfolding his blinds for sure.
We can definitely. Looks like you got to walk in the big, easy game. Jacob folds a button. You lift the 7-5. I like it. Marty's got the ace-7, and he
open rips.
He ripped. Okay.
He doesn't open rip. He just jams on me.
I mean, that's gonna be okay. 27, it's a few too many bigs to do it, but it's alright.
So that's curious. I think I folded the 7-4 suited there on the button.
Oh yeah, yeah. So like things like this, I think we talked about the 8-4 suited, the 7-4 suited. These are beautiful hands to open up. Just in normal, not even with ICM, but with ICM and how nitty Buddy's been. Party raising the 9-3 off. Oh yeah, he just goes into the tank for God knows how long. Oh no, he didn't. Okay, he folds eventually. What do you think about it for a bit? Yeah, kid just has it every time. Jacob's got 10s, just shoves blind versus blind.
So this is a spot where I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know what the right play is here, so I don't even know right now what the right play is.
We can go over it. We can go over it. I mean, I knew this was a fold. I wasn't going to say anything. Alright, so we're three-handed now. So Jacob's got, you've got this many's. Jacob's got this many's, and I think Marty's got like 2.5. He's got like that many's. And we're at 1. And then ante is 50,000 divided by 3, which is 16.66. 16,667. We'll go that. Alright, assuming people just shove. So small blind shoves. Wow! Okay, we're gonna change this. We're gonna assume. Okay, so he's never shoving all this stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
he isn't shoving anywhere near this kind of correct range. So
let's get this garbage
I would
out
say
here.
I would say you can get rid of King 7 suited.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
9-8 suited, you can get rid of 9-8 suited.
No, we'll get rid of some of these. All right.
Seems a lot better. I think he might jam deuces, but whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, when he's not shoving everything he's supposed to, King Jack off just becomes pretty slam dunky fold.
Yeah.
And I knew this, but like, you know, I didn't say anything. I mean, you won the hand, so I was like, all right, let's go. But it's nice to look that one over. But I think, yeah, I mean, we drilled the jack on the turn. Boom. That dealer just ran it so. Oh, look at that high five. Let's get a replay on that high five. Oh baby, that's a power on that one. Look at that. Whoop bam! Let's go, baby. Now we bring up that high five there, but oh boy, I don't know if you realize this, but you left me hanging when you won.
What, did I?
I got made fun of a lot of people because I go to raise my hand, you hug Jimmy, and then I just bring my hand down, and then you go around to hug your wife later, and I'm like, oh
yeah.
no.
The only thing I was doing in my mind was looking for my wife. I was like, "Where's my wife, Claire? Where were you, Claire?" Because I thought for some reason I thought she would be with Jimmy, but she was not.
No. Yeah, she was standing in the middle of my. Look at all those chips. Yeah, that was a very, very important one to win there. That was a big, big one to win. As you can see, he got devastated from that one. He took it well, though. I mean, yeah, no problems with him. Marty gets thrown a water bottle. I think at this point now, now that there's a 5K pay jump, and the other guy is so short, this is where you need to start hammering. And I know you develop this limping strategy, but this is this part where you start like 3x opening. Marty has to fuck off. Marty knows this is almost a winner-take-all tournament, but the difference between second and third is still 5K off an $86 tournament. So he's not going to do anything stupid.
I also think this is a spot where I should be opening my button extremely widely, because it just puts so much pressure on the situation. Mm-hmm. There is actually some ICM considerations there, and you know, just didn't have the opportunity to make that a reality.
Yeah, I think we limpy stabby. I don't think you need to go. You can just one. He looks great in fuckboy attire. Lol. Yeah, Boy says introduce him to the ICM bin with the 3xing. What does it say though? With the stab there, you can just min stab. You don't have to 1.5x big blind or 1.5 big blinds. We are in the tank here. It's a 10-4-4. It's a very dry board. One big blind does the exact same as 1.5. Yeah, I like the raise. Don't think you need a 2.5. Like at this point now, with big blind being short, just min raising is cool. Marty gets out of the way. We're gonna fold. And now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. You gotta walk into big, some more high fives. Jacob shoves. You fold, Marty folds.
Sometimes it feels so good to get the 7 deuce off.
Yeah, it's nice just to get good decisions.
Just easy decisions. And I think I came to you. You see that face there where I'm just like, I want to open so widely, but I just get the 7-3 off.
Yeah, I think you can fold 7-3 off. If it was Marty's big blind you were opening into, you should definitely be opening. But I think versus him, you can probably get away from it. Is anyone else spacebar? We're actually using the arrow keys. Jacob shoves. You get the easy 7-3 off fold. I think we're probably.
And again, Jacob shoves, and he just
probably talking numbers there. Yeah, Jacob's just had it every time he shoves. Ace-3, good fold. I love the fold. Marty's got Jack-5, so Hollywood folds. Good for you, Marty.
Why the Hollywood with the Jack-3 off, I wonder?
He always just tanks.
The next hand is an important one, I'm pretty sure.
I
don't know. I want a gif of whatever that is right there.
Let's slow this one down here. Let's break this one down here. 1 second. Speed 2.5x. All right, let's. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Too good. It's too good.
There we go. Whoa! We got some. There's some excitement going on here. All right. I can get behind this.
This is some kind of like button tilt that I'm not used to having, where I just like want to open my button and I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the reality is. I wonder what Jacob thinks about that when he sees me doing that, because he's probably like, "What the hell does that mean?" But I'm thinking, "Gosh, I just want to play against this kid. Come on."
Yeah, a lot of emotions to run when you're chip leading at this point of the tournament. Yeah, so like this is where you gotta. I mean, starting to limp a little bit too much, but we gotta be dumpstering him with some attacking. I mean, he shoves on you. That's all right. We save some chips.
Yeah, I mean, he shoves on me with a real hand there. I think that you're right, though. I'm opening the door to him shoving with all sorts of shit and getting me to fold. And
you're letting him realize his equity in spots where he's just never seeing flops. 10-4 suited. I like the open. Marty. I mean, it's no way he's shoving this.
So I folded his hand for him in reply.
Oh, the blinds have gone up now to 120k big blind. For those of you.
So this is a hand that we should watch here.
Okay. Marty opens the jack nine suited. You've got that's Jacob's hand. You've got the jack 3 suited. Oh yeah, I remember this one.
So there's a lot of questions about what happens in this hand, and it's a curious spot.
Yeah. So check on the flop seems cool. Turns a jack. All right, so we lead 225k. So we lead like a third pot. I think this is fine. So with this board, 10-7-5, turn jack. Normally this is not going to be a turn card that's going to be completing range. Normally this is going to be a good turn card for Marty's range. So in general, we probably shouldn't have too many leads. I think checking the jack 3 here. I don't know if we're ever going to get 2 streets of value versus Marty. It's not like he's ever going to have a 10 here that traps. He's not going to have 8s or 9s. Maybe it's a 7, so we're probably getting a 1 street of value type of spot here, and I feel like he's probably gonna even c-bet a lot. So when he doesn't bet, it's a little. I'm at least a little intrigued, but I don't fault the bet. I think we have a pair and a flush draw. We have top pair and a flush draw. I think leading here. I think leading here is okay. I could be okay with checking as well because in terms of ranges. This is going to be a card that's good for him. And then
clearly this because he's opening on the button, I think that it hits his hand in all sorts of different ways. But I want to talk for just a second about what happens here, because it's interesting that when in this exact spot, I feel in hindsight like he rejams here and I call. And so, if you're looking at the screen here, that's exactly what happened, even though the graphics haven't caught up yet. So he rejams and I call. And it's interesting because I bet for value. So I believe that the top pair in the flush draw is probably a spot to bet for value. But when he rejams here, I don't think long enough about the realities of the hands that he's getting in here with, because there are the opportunities for him to have hands like queens and other things that already beat my range. I think he has all of the stronger jacks than I do in his opening range. So something like ace jack or queen jack or king jack. I think he may have higher flush draws than I do, where he doesn't have a pair, but he has outs to pairs. There are a lot of different hands here where his range, I think, actually ends up being a bit stronger than mine in a way that maybe in the moment I was unaware of. And because I was thinking about how aggressive Marty had been playing, I wasn't thinking really so much about his exact range. I was thinking more about the exact strength of my hand, which is a mistake. So it's interesting to find myself in this position, because when you jam, I don't really think too long. I call pretty quickly. But as you can see here, I find myself in a position where I have 36% equity.
Yeah. I mean, versus exact hand, I mean, it sucks, but it's not the worst hand that we could have ended up seeing. Yeah, when we think about what he's going to shove, like, he's probably going to have some like king queen suiteds, some. It's just like, it's really hard to expect. Like Marty, from what I've seen, is just the type of player in these sorts of spots where he just usually just has it. So like when I have Jack 3 here, it's like, it's a strong hand, but it's just like, what are we ever beating? And I mean, the dealer just rips this out too. There's no suspense. That was one thing with the dealers. They just bang it out. There's no just like everyone gets to sit there and simmer. Like, we just realized that you got it in behind, and then they just peel off the river, and we're like, oh, what the fuck? We can't enjoy this. We can't cheer.
Well, I wasn't cheering anyways.
Yeah. We couldn't scream for our cards. Yeah, I think it's hard in real time to be like, oh, maybe we have to fold here, but I mean, there is a 5K pay jump. Marty's not gonna just blast it off for the sake of it.
Yeah, great.
You could maybe talk yourself like it. I think the problem is he just doesn't have any tens that he'd ever randomly do that with. He's not like. He's probably not doing that with anything worse than like king queen suited, like with a flush draw, king queen with a flush draw.
I love all the heat and trolling you're getting in the chat. Right?
Yeah, that's my life. I got good friends. I appreciate everyone.
Yeah, so Bow Effect, I think that you are correct. I think that this is the thing I'm thinking about now. Is in hindsight, I think that the turn I should just check, right? Because I think that I create the problem by betting, not only betting by betting 1/3 of the pot. I think that just by betting, I create a dynamic where I'm going to end up calling off. So I think that Bow Effect has nailed the problem here.
Mm-hmm. Pat, I love you. Thank you, Blacklist. Sometimes I just need to hear it. Yeah, Marty hums and haws about this for a while. I think. Oh shit! Oh, I'm ruining the sweat. I apologize. Let's go back.
You're ruining. Now you're ruining the sweat.
I hope Nathan got adequate spanking for the first hand with deuces. Yeah, we talked about it.
Jimmy, we ran the first hand.
We even ran it in HRC.
Yeah. Now the thing that you're not going to love is that the tens hand. I still say the tens hand is closer than anybody thought.
Yeah. I don't think we have the tens hand up on HRC anymore, but no, it's not up here on HRC. Oh, it is. No.
Aaliyah's asking the wonderful question of who's better at poker, me or Jimmy? I mean, you know, clearly Jimmy's better at poker.
Who's going to the Bahamas? Who isn't?
Yeah, but thankfully I'm better at life, so. All right, so we had a little break here, I guess, in the stream. And then, oh no, why are we suddenly heads up?
Oh, we showed the eights first. Yeah, we showed it. We saw the flip. Yeah, we saw the flip.
We saw the eights hand. Okay.
All right, yeah, this is where we talk for a deal. He gives like some ridiculous offer.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about it since we're since the deal is on stream? I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you want to run it over.
So real quickly, basically, Marty doesn't know that I had been doing all this work to win a Platinum Pass. And so he doesn't realize the exact dynamic and doesn't understand that I've been trying multiple ways to win a Platinum Pass. But he does realize in the moment that I want this pass more than he does. He told me he's already got a trip and set up to the Bahamas for the PCA, and he didn't really care about that stuff. So his request is that he gets second place money plus $10,000 in cash plus the room and board plus the trophy. So he wants second place money plus $10,000 out of pocket plus the room and board plus the trophy.
So he wants like that's like 25K plus the trophy. So he basically wants 30K.
He wants 25K and the trophy.
Yeah. He wants you to take guaranteed second. That's all you get. You just get second. With that fucking, this is the stupidest offer. What the fuck? I remember you just said he wants 10K. That's all you got out, and we're like, are you fucking kidding me? He's not getting. We were like, we'll give him like 2,500. We'll give him 2K. That's what he gets.
So yeah, I mean, I did walk over and say, look, there are people who have parts of me. I will take the offer to the people and talk to them. I did that, and then rapidly turned around and said, nope, sorry, no deal. So, that's what happened. So there was no deal. So we played heads up. There was no deal on the table.
Yeah. It's just such a stupid off. Oh my god. Killed me. Alright, Marty, humming and hawing. And finally raises. Alright, Marty finally raises. And we see a flop here. We defend the 6-3. Loving it so far. Flop is King 8-4. Feel like it'll be check. Marty snap checks. Interesting. 4 on the turn. Okay. I don't think we need to be leading here. Normally when people check back these sorts of flops and not c-bet, they usually have types of hands that are going to call one street. Usually when people are playing heads up, when they have hands, I mean, there's going to be the case sometimes where they have things like 9-7 suited. It depends on the player, but I find a lot of the time when people check back flop, they always end up having hands that are, or usually have hands that are going to end up calling. Like at the King 8-4, there's not as much to worry about, so you can probably expect, you yourself to fold a lot. It's not like the board's like 9-8-7 where you're just always going to find calls. You're always going to have like some sort of straight or flush draw or some sort of like pair.
If he had called here, I would have started to limit his range really significantly to hands like 6s, 7s, a pair of 8s, maybe 9s. I would have started to limit his range really quickly a lot. I don't think we'd have many kings. I think we'd have a lot of 8s. So I do find the lead here.
And you take it down. I think the lead, it's nothing wrong with it, but I do think versus most players in general, they always end up having some sort of showdown when they don't c-bet on those types of boards where I think those types of boards you just typically see people just over c-bet.
Yeah, I just see it being middle and bottom pair a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when they do check back, it's usually showdown, and that showdown usually doesn't go anywhere. I think we did what here was we limped the button. 10-8 suited can play okay as a limp. I think raising versus Marty is going to be fine. As played, we goes check, check, flop, check, check, turn. I think we should be stabbing flop here. So with the 10-8 of hearts here, we have so many good turn cards that we can barrel on. We can barrel on 6s, we can barrel on 9s, we can barrel on jacks. Kings are cool, aces are cool because those are good for our us more so because Marty doesn't have too many of those in his range. And we can barrel on hearts. There's a lot of good turn cards for us to barrel. Once we make it to the turn here and it goes check, I think betting again is better than checking. And then we make it to the river, basically for the same reason, betting on the turn. He just doesn't have too many hands that are going to be checking flop and then checking turn that are going to stick around. Then Marty just leads river, you call, chop chop. River seems fine as played. But I think flop and turn, we miss some opportunities to take the pot down, deny him that equity of hitting the 10 and then chopping up with us.
Yeah, denying him of the equity of getting the chops was super weak.
Yeah. Dumbest deal in the history of deals, but can't fault the man for trying. He's already pushing it with the visor.
He's already pushing it with the visor.
Alright, so Marty raises and we fold. Okay. Let's see what we had. Alright, we're on the button here with 4s. So we've got 20 bigs here. You limp. I'm okay with shoving here for 20 bigs.
Yeah, so
if you
that's the exact same review I had with Jimmy. I think he said just.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you have an insane fucking edge heads up, limping this is going to be better, or min raising. But if you're going to be a little bit more uncomfortable post flop, just open shoving 20 bigs is always going to be okay. As played, I think you could stab flop. I think again another missed opportunity just to deny equity. And there's not very many turns that we're going to call on if he leads turn. So I think us just betting 4s, denying equity, as well as denying him the ability to bluff us. As Marty now has a really good hand to lead, and we have to side fold. Like Marty played that fine. Yeah, so it seems like we're missing a lot of passive. Not a lot, but we've had some passive decision making that can be corrected. Marty chalking it. Doesn't he chalk it like a? Yeah, I always think it's a lot. Makes a big sizing here. I think it's like 3x, 3.5. We get the jack deuce. Good fold. Good fold. 10-3 off. I'm fine with folding. I wouldn't fold, but I also advocate for you to play 100% of your buttons on the button. So whether you're limping or raising, people don't have to do that. I think folding like your bottom like 10% is always going to be okay. I mean, I feel like a 10 is pretty close to just being any 10 will be played. Marty completing the 9-5. We got the 10-9. Yeah, this is fine. You don't need to isolate 10-9 off. King 7, King 7. Yeah, we're kind of rifling through these heads up hands, but not too much to break down so far.
I don't remember this hand, so I'm curious if I find a bet here.
I mean, you have a gut shot. I wouldn't hate it. Marty's shown some weakness, so I'm fine with leading here. What did you led for like pot? A little under pot. I like it. I like the big sizing. Kind of like a fuck you to. I like it. I think going larger there is better than going smaller. Seems cool to me. Oh, there's me again! Oh my god. Stand up straight, punk!
And Andy the Timid, and Max, and Big Bear, and Splia, and Jesse Caps, and
look
Gus.
At all the heroes there.
And look, Dang. we know the whole crew there. That's always a good feeling.
The rail was getting there. Alright, so we raised the King 4 offsuit. I'm okay with this. I mean, min raising is what I prefer always in heads up. Are you guys looking at my dick? Is that what you guys saying?
What's going on over there?
Oh, damn. Blacklist throwing some...
It's funny, too, because I can't see you, so they're, like, trashing your jumper and, like... Yeah. All sorts of stuff, and I have no idea. So I'm like, I can't see them, so whatever they're blessing on you for, I hope I don't have to see it later.
Oh my god, is this the hand?
What happens here? He finds a call and then a check.
Yeah, he defends his big blind. You see bet. So on a board like 7-7-3, let me just go back here for a second. The pot's like 660. You could just bet pretty small, like 200 to 225.
Yeah, what did I actually bet?
I think you 250. Yeah, 275. I think it's a 25K too much. I think it's a thin.
It's maybe 50K too much.
Yeah. Yeah, anywhere between 50 to 25 too much, but it's all right. And then Marty goes deep into the tank here, and then he shoves. Interesting shove there with the 5-3 suited. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna fold your flush draws there. But yeah, you want to normally on dry boards like this, you want to go like 33%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the little things. You could also check back like King 4. At least you have the 4 of clubs.
50,000 chips. I didn't have to lose there.
Mm-hmm. IR slight shove. God damn. Guys, you're supposed to review this fucking tournament, not review my fucking dick size. Well, I think I've got a clip.
Do you have your mature button on? So
yeah, we got that on. Yeah, we're good.
Well, I mean, I'm just like, if you're, I don't know what you're showing off over there, but it sounds like we want to make sure you have the mature.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see my camera right. My dick's out on my camera. You can't see it. It's all right. Yeah.
Good. Let's
all
keep
right.
that.
Marty's got 8s, and we've got Jack 10 suited. Oh yeah. So I think
so this is the hand I wanted to ask you about before when I said let's look at the raise your edge hands for rejams, because I'm curious what the actual response that I'm supposed to have here is with this hand and the stack size.
I don't know if they have heads up charts. They have heads up. I don't know if we're allowed to show the charts, but they told me I could show like early. I could show like pre-flop charts, but I don't think we're allowed to show the heads up charts. I think these are too. I was told these are too specific, too detailed to just throw out there willy nilly. Versus a raise, Jack 10 suited is just a call. I think shoving here is one of those things like you're going to be performing okay versus range. Piling here is it's not going to be a mistake, but it's fine just to peel here. I typically would peel here. I mean, you're shoving for like 13 bigs, so it's really hard to make a mistake. But I think the shove's fine. I think it's going to be profitable. I think peeling there is going to be more profitable. But I think it's if you're playing. So I think here's the thing: is if you're playing against someone where you feel like the edges are closer, or you're not, or you may be losing against, this is a better play. If you feel like you have a significant edge versus someone, you might not want to take the flip or get it in. You might just want to play some post flop. Then calling is a little bit more preferred. We can go that avenue with it. And we flop a flush draw.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Even if I call, we see this flop and win.
I remember. I called 8 of clubs. I said 8 of clubs, and the 8 of clubs came. Yeah. I was like, well, we can't just win. It's got to be a sweat. It's got to be a sweat. That means, what's the point?
It's a pretty good sweat. I did not want, but I was really happy to see the club come off.
Yeah. That's me bragging. I called it. I called the 8 of clubs. That's me. I called the 8 of clubs. Look how happy I am. I called it. I'm like, I called the 8 of clubs. This is me. I did it. I did this. All right, we're gonna do a lot of chip counting here.
Yeah, there's a lot of chip counting there, but it's really key chip counting, right? Because it's the gets us much closer to even.
Yeah.
And there's a hand. I think it's maybe the next hand or 2 hands from now. That we have a really important situation. So let's see what happens here, though.
The King 5 suited. You raise the button. Marty shoves. Yeah, this will be a laydown here. I think 25 bigs, calling a shove there. Too many. If the board pairs, I'm hunting you down. Come on, man. Gotta call for.
Yeah, Pat calls the win, confirmed. As you might have heard me say earlier, based on the hands that I received and the way they played out, I don't think I could have lost There weren't a whole lot of ways I could have messed it up. I ran pretty well.
I think the blinds did just go up. Let me just double check here. It usually says at the top before the hand starts. I mean, let's look at the... No, it doesn't... It looks like it's still... I'm trying to see... Yeah, you look like you have 160, so the blinds did just go up. The graphics just haven't caught up yet. So Marty makes it a little over 3x. And then you defend the queen deuce suited. We already seen this. I like it. Seems okay. And we go to the flop. Ooh, good start. Flopping a queen here. God, I remember this one. I remember this one very, very well. Spoilers. We check. Marty's doing the Bonomo now. He's had enough of this playing with chip careful as he's Bonomo poker stancing it. I love the Bonomo.
I mean, I have to say, I don't mind the Bonomo stance so much. I think
it's comfortable. It's really comfortable. All right, so we check call. The worst turn card in the deck. And he snap checks it back. Okay, so I think that check there is pretty... Knowing Marty's witnessing what I've witnessed so far playing with Marty, he doesn't have too much ace-x here if he snap checks back. I think he's just always betting. He's someone that doesn't like to let things get there. He always has taken spots where he protects his equity. I'm pretty sure we can eliminate a lot of ace-x out of his range. He could still have some queen x, and he could definitely have king x. The board pairing the king is so interesting because now he even has less king x. You check. And Marty chalks out a big bet here.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not so big.
Oh, it's only 500k.
Yeah, so it's important.
So you bet 500k into a pot of 1.3 million.
Yes.
And you are faced with a decision here with your hero calling queen. Now, if we try to break this down of what Marty could potentially have, I think we can eliminate two pairs. We can eliminate aces. We can eliminate Jack 10. So we can eliminate all the nutted stuff. So he just doesn't have too much nutted things. He doesn't have threes, he doesn't have queens, he doesn't have kings, he doesn't have aces. Like when I say threes, he doesn't have pocket threes. So we're really hero calling here, assuming that he has king x. And like he's gonna have some king x that'll bet flop check turn. That'll definitely happen a lot, especially when he bets flop snap checks turn. I think he's gonna have an okay amount of king x here, but I think he's just gonna have way too many bluffs. Way too many bluffs where he's going to bet check bet. And I think when you break down his range, eliminate all the value stuff, and you're basically only left with like some king x and maybe some queen x that we're chopping with. I think your queen x ends up having to be a call more in terms of like breaking down how far up we are up in his range and how many bluffs he's going to have here.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you to do something you haven't done all stream, which is, can I ask you to turn the volume on while you play out the rest of the hand?
Okay, done. I'll make it loud.
And especially some of these bluffs on the turn, because you don't expect Nathan to have many.
All right, let's
I have to go to normal speed, I guess, for that.
Yeah, let me.
Aces in his.
All right, we'll go back to the beginning where Marty bets.
Here's the bet from Marty.
Okay.
500k here from Marty on the end. Nathan getting 3.5 to
We'll
1.
let the boys do the talking.
And guys, do you think this is the credible representation of a king, or ace that checked the turn?
It's pretty hard here. I would expect Marty to bet most of his ace-x's, and especially some of these bluffs on the turn, because you don't expect Nathan to have many aces in his range. You expect him to be shoving a lot of those pre-flops, so definitely a good card for Marty on the turn.
So you notice I'm not looking at him here. I'm actually thinking back through the hand history just to make sure I understand what happened on his street. I'm not looking for tell here. I'm just trying to think about the betting pattern.
A lot of those are going to bluff on the turn.
Yeah.
So I'd give him a lot of credit for a king here. But this is where I'd default to live reads, like trying to just get a sense of how he's feeling.
Nathan not really looking at... Oh, he does call here, though. And...
So, yeah, so there I say three kings is
after,
good.
But Nathan does say call.
And so, you know, I think it's interesting, and you can turn the volume back off. I just think it's really interesting there, because the only hands that I'm imagining he is betting for value there for that sizing is trip kings. Like, I just, it's just a really strange spot. So the only hand that I can think of that he is really doing that, where he checks the turn exactly like what you're talking about, where he just checks the turn so quickly when the ace comes down, is where he, has a weird king, and, he was behind on the turn, so that's why we find him doing that super fast check back where he suddenly is behind, and then he's making this bet on the river for value because he, got there. So I just feel like I'm too far ahead of too much of his range to fold, and so I find myself saying out loud and to him, Trip Kings is good. So I think that's a spot where his value range is really, really limited.
Yeah, and you definitely had the right thought process. I love your thought process there, and I definitely agree with you. He just doesn't, like, he has King X there, yeah, but I think that's the only thing we're really worried about. And with the King pairing, if the King didn't pair, it becomes a little bit harder of a call. But with the King pairing, I think we're just living the dream there. Yeah. And we get the 7-6 here, limp in it. Appreciate it. Oh my god. No, it's not it. Okay. Flopping bottom pair here. I like stabbing. Letting check 2 here. Check some equity. And maybe check it back. I think this is a mistake. I think we're allowing a lot of his like 8x, 10x, Queen X, King X that are all just going to check fold to realize their equity here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We make it to the turn. I think, again, similar reasoning. Getting some value. Maybe he has King High, though. King High can definitely hero call on the turn. I think on the river, I think it's pretty clear that we have the best hand. If he wants to hero call, cool. Maybe we can get him to fold to 6 if he's feeling really nitty, but I doubt that. But yeah, I think at some point.
I'm laughing at the I'm older than medium dick Pat and younger than Platinum Pass Nathan. Oh man, how quickly your chat gets out of line.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you incite it. This is all my doing. You make the bed. You live in the bed. You sleep in the bed that you make. So this is what we get. The medium dick Pat emote. If you could figure out a way to make a medium dick Pat emote, sure. I don't know how you're gonna get that. I don't know how you're gonna get medium dick Pat through the Twitch filters, but I don't know if we can figure that one out. Maybe the reason for the pant was Pat had yoga class right after the tournament. Your chat corrupted me. Marty with the ace king here.
Oh man. Okay, well, so this is a hand I think that he does a little bit of button clicking. So we're gonna get to see some of the button clicking in action.
So we defend 7. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. I'm wrong. There's no button clicking.
All right, so we got a 7 here. I think we should be leading this turn, and I like it. Like we can go smaller, we can go bigger. Depends on how sticky your villain is.
Maybe there is some button clicking. Maybe he raises here.
The excitement, that mouth open, just the Marty chalking up chips. That's more than I put out. What is Marty doing here? I think he's just like, I mean, if he puts you on a lot of draws, he's just like allowing you to not realize your equity.
Yeah.
And he just mashes in some extra chips there.
So this is interesting. So I do remember this hand now, and I guess, there's a question here about what my action should be, and I think that, at the time, I just felt like he had been getting it in so often with kind of this top pair or something like that. And so I felt like having the raise here was really great against the kind of actions he'd been making if he has a pair of 8s, if he has 9s or 10s or jacks or something like that. I just felt like there's a lot of hands here where he's just getting it all in. I also felt like there was an opportunity that he might have a hand like 9-10 of diamonds, for instance, and he was going to be calling it off anyways. And so I actually am jamming here kind of with the assumption that he's going to get it all in. So I have to tell you, Ace King was not a hand that I thought he was going to be making this raise with on the turn. So I was a little surprised later to learn what his hand was. I didn't think that this was a very likely candidate for a hand that he was going to raise me on the turn.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Him raising here, I just don't know if I want to shove here because I mean there are some like the drawy type rivers where he's probably not going to barrel off his 8x, but if he's ever got like, you know, 9s or up here, he's probably still going to spew off. And if he's got like a draw and the draw bricks, he's probably going to barrel off too. I think this might be one of those spots where you kind of, I mean, Bowie brought up the idea of just clicking back, and I think exploitively that idea isn't that bad. I think if you just like min click it back to him, like he makes it like 850 or whatever. If you just make it like 1250 or like, you know, like what, or like 1.25, 1.3 mil, and he just give him like this incredible price just to at least have to call one more, and give him the opportunity to just sort of button click away. Because a lot of what he'll raise fold to a min click is probably gonna check back rivers anyways. I think shoving here, you kind of let him play perfectly. In regards to he folds correctly a lot of the time and calls off correctly, but will be losing to your queen 7. So I don't think I would have shoved here. I didn't really realize how much he raised though. I didn't realize how much he had behind. So I think in real time I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. But and I think Marty probably tanked for forever because he probably was like, oh, I bet he's got like 9-10 here. As he sits there in the tank, and we're gonna skip a bit of the tank here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's thinking about exactly here. I don't know if he ever just thinks he has equity versus whatever my hand is to call. I'm not actually sure what he's.
I think he's thinking about it because he's thinking if you have something like 5-6, 9-6, 10-9
diamonds
of diamonds, or even just like empty straight or like no flush draw straight, no like bare straight draws. If he's ever thinking of doing something like that. That's probably what he's thinking about. Alright, we get pocket 4s the very next hand. And we shove. Loving it. Marty's sub 15 bigs. Marty with the king queen. Oh baby, here we go. 4s versus king queen. There's only 15 minutes left in the VOD. Will he win it? I don't know. Oh, jeez. I can't imagine. King on the flop for a sweat was not what I was saying in real time. I was screaming, hold! Hold! We're all just screaming, hold. Oh, man. We're going to see the left hanging high five here in a moment. What a great turn. Give him 4 outs, dealer. That's it. Give him the queen of hearts. Give him some pain. Now there's the hold. Wait. There's the hold. You see that? Oh, look at that. Look at that wide open mouth screaming, hold. Boom. Game over.
Yay.
Hey, excitement.
Yeah, weird 1.5x screaming rail.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And packets left hanging. Who's it? Right there.
All right. Yeah. But then, what am I actually doing? I'm like hugging Jimmy.
You hug Jimmy.
Where's my wife?
And then you go to your wife, and then you find your wife.
I'm like, where's Claire? Oh, there she is. Anyways.
And we get the passionate moment. The hug and the kiss of the wife. We did it. There's me. I'm happy. Playing it off. I didn't get left hanging. I knew in the back of my head, I was thinking, fuck. I hope that wasn't on stream. That's what I was thinking. I was like, please tell me that was missed somehow. Moneymaker hugging it out. All right.
Yes, I mean, worth saying, I think, that at this point, I've seen Chris at four events or whatever, right? So he definitely was, like, cheering me on. I don't think he's supposed to have favorites, but, you know, as somebody who had been kind of, like, following him around trying to win one of these damn things. I think he was pretty surprised to see me actually pull this shit off.
Yeah. One hell of a run, Mr. Manuel. This was fun to review. I think we could do a bit of a recap here. I think we ran over a lot of fun ICM spots. I mean, I know it's not the funnest one for you to talk about, but the tens one was a fun one to go over with, you know, just how what should be calling there. And we saw when we made that range very, very tight. 8s is a fold, 9s is borderline, 10s was a slam dunk. We found out a lot of things where, you know, just reevaluating ranges, what should be, when we're playing these sorts of very top-heavy tournaments, what we should be battling, what we should be doing. We did go over a decent amount of spots where when we're blind versus blind, limiting strategies, great. When it's, you know, similar stacks, we got a little bit worried. And when we have a chip lead and the other player is significantly shorter, then we can sort of attack. What other, do you have any takeaways you want to drop through before I keep going?
I have to say, like, I think that those things are not painful to see. As somebody who is a student of the game, you know, I'm really thinking about the spots in which I can get better. And knowing that I'm opening myself up to this situation now where I'm about to go and play a 25K with a bunch of, you know, with a really interesting mix of probably relatively weak players and then really just uber crushers, I'm in the spot where I'm like, damn, you know, I just want to really make sure that I'm doing what I need to be doing and working on my game and tightening some of these things up and not making mistakes, because I expect that in a lot of those spots, especially if you make a deep run, you're going to be playing against people who just aren't going to make very many mistakes, right? And so trying to make sure that I'm tightening up, and I feel like going through these hands, it's a really great way to do that. And, you know, I think it's worth saying that, you know, we're going to do this a few more times in the coming weeks.
We'll be back. I think we decided 2 Wednesdays from now, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
Exactly right. Yeah, two Wednesdays from now, it'll be the 28th. Yeah, yes. Wednesday the 28th of November. We'll come back through, and we're going to go through some more stuff. And so, you know, at that point, we might look at a little bit more Raise Your Edge material. We're definitely going to go through some hand history, talk about some concepts. You know, we're going to continue to have some schooling and some learning lessons as we build up towards playing the PokerStars Players Championship in this 25K and this really strange environment. So looking forward to it, and I appreciate your help, and thanks for, you know, working through these situations with me.
Oh yeah, it was my pleasure. It's fun to get to do it on stream. Hopefully you guys, as a chat, got to enjoy it. We had some fun, learned some stuff. Always good to hang out. Oh, Antigone saying good luck, have fun as well. What's up, dude? How you been? He was there at Reno, and he's been a Twitch OG since the inception. He's been around as long as I have. Oh, whew, that was fun. We powered through that.
Thanks for doing this. I know that you aren't grinding today because you're doing this too. So
I mean, I did 6 days in a row. So I mean, this is kind of my off day. I mean, I didn't do much earlier today. I was like, oh, I'm gonna study, and then I ended up just going to some fucking like Chinese buffet, and then I shot pool after. So, you know, we took a day off.
You know, even God took the 7th day off, Patrick. Yeah. It's gonna be all right.
Are you saying I'm God? Yeah, you know what? That's true. God does deserve a day off. You know what? I like that. All right. All right, guys. I
appreciate your time, and looking forward to talking in 2 weeks, and we will figure out what we're doing then, and you know, I look forward to sharing the knowledge with everybody that we're going to be taking into this big ass tournament with.
For sure. All right, chat. I'm gonna end the stream here, guys. I'm outie. Take care, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm outie. Peace.